Last week, Western Kentucky pulled out a triple overtime win to become bowl eligible for the 7th consecutive season. FIU accomplished that goal back on November 4th. Both teams have 6 wins, but Conference USA could have 10 teams eligible for a bowl by the end of the weekend. So being bowl eligible and actually getting invited to a bowl game are 2 different things, which magnifies the importance of tonight's matchup here in Miami. Tonight we welcome you inside Ricardo Silva Stadium in Miami, Florida, as we raise the curtain on Week 13 of the college football season, a pivotal matchup between the Panthers of FIU and the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Hi, everybody. Mike Gleason here, along with Brett Romberg, one of Butch Davis's Miami recruits that went on to play in the National Football League. We'll hear from Michelle Gingras in just a couple of moments. But first, on behalf of everyone at BN Sports, we certainly hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. And the tease pretty much says it all. 9 bowl-eligible teams in Conference USA by the end of the weekend. Brett, that's a conference record. If Louisiana Tech can beat UTSA tomorrow, there's going to be 10. And one thing to look for tonight, with the exception of maybe Mason Fine of North Texas, we probably have 2 of the hottest quarterbacks in the league going at it tonight.
Yeah, and one of them being Mike White, who grew up just 24 miles from this stadium. Unfortunately for them, Mike White actually signed with University of South Florida originally, taking a couple visits, one over to Oklahoma State University and one at interconference rival Marshall. Fast forward a couple years, transfer, 1 year sitting out, and all of a sudden Mike White is exploding into the record books at Western Kentucky. Having a 4,300 junior year campaign passing and 37 touchdowns has been unbelievable for him. Crossing the field, you're looking at another Florida quarterback who's done unbelievable things in this conference as well, but probably playing the most elite football he's played in a Panther uniform these last 3 weeks. Looking at 87 for 125, a 70% completion percentage. Alex Magoo is doing great things and looking tonight to rectify that 4-game loss that he's had so far with Western Kentucky.
So who's going to have the hottest hand tonight? Time will tell. You mentioned the fact that Mike White played his high school ball about 20 or 25 minutes from here. For more on Mike White, let's check in with Michelle.
Thanks, guys. Offensive coordinator Junior Adams told us that he felt the turning point for the offense was in the game against UTEP. And if you take a look at those numbers, you can definitely tell that that offense was starting to click. Since then, Mike White has thrown for 6 consecutive 300-yard games. Also in that, he's thrown 3 5-touchdown games with no picks, and he's coming off a Conference USA high with 485 yards against Middle Tennessee. FIU's defense will have their work cut out for them if he stays this hot.
Well, thanks a lot, Michelle. And Brett, the numbers that she talks about, the really good quarterbacks, you start taking those numbers for granted. But 6 straight 300-yard games, it's hard to wrap your mind around that.
Yeah, this one thing that's been the common denominator in this league so far this year that I continually find is the quarterback play has been elite. Whether you're dealing with Mason Fine, whether you're dealing with Magoo or Middle Tennessee, you have young Stockstill over there as well. So you're never going to be shy of quarterback play in this league.
Well, there's Butch Davis, the man who recruited you to Miami. Butch Davis, of course, back on the sidelines for the first time since 2010 when he was at North Carolina, just missing 2 straight national championships at Miami, or at least 1. Mike Sanford, in his first year after coming over from Notre Dame, where he was the offensive coordinator, he was the youngest FBS coach when he was hired. Of course, that honor belongs now to Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. Both teams with 6 wins, so a lot of importance looking to notch the win column for the 7th time as they move towards a trip to the bowl games. Western Kentucky is going to receive, so we'll see Mike White first. Deep man is Kylan Towner, back off the injury list as Sean Young gets ready to kick this football game underway, and he's back there.
Kylan Towner, man, what a great player he's been. Unfortunately, he was a scratch the last time we covered Western Kentucky, but he is something special, shifty.
And this is going to be Towner, who incidentally, he watches it go to the back of the end zone, so Western Kentucky will start at the 25-yard line. Penalty flag, it went out of bounds apparently, and so they'll start at the 35 and not the 25-yard line. So great field position, and a rough start there for Sean Young, something he'd like to have back.
That's probably one of the most deflating things for a kicker, opening kickoff of a game. You're looking to get things started. I know FIU is looking to get things started and kind of rectify that loss they had last week, and to kick the ball out of bounds kind of takes a little bit of air out of your tire.
There he is, number 14. He said he had about 50 family and friends coming to the ball game tonight. I always thought as a player that would be a little bit distracting, trying to find tickets for 50 people.
Free kick out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the right hash at the 30-yard line. First down.
That's our referee, Stephen LaMantia. Our replay official up in the booth is Steve Barth.
35-yard line.
Yeah, you got it right the first time you called it, Mike. They wanted to put him back at the 30.
Look at the 54 attempts, 485, 5 touchdowns. That's the third time this year he's thrown 5 scoring strikes with no picks.
Yeah, we talked a little bit in the open about that epic junior season. Now he's got 22 touchdowns. So I'm just looking for big things from Mike White, even on Sundays.
That's Towner in motion. It's going to be Kylan Towner with the first carry on the sweep. He's up over the 40, and he's going to be tripped up at about the 42-yard line.
Getting up a little bit of slow here. Might have taken one off the 5.
They just got him back from the injury list. Kylan Towner last week, 4 catches for 105 yards. Junior Adams, the offensive coordinator, says they're a different team when he is in the lineup. He's got speed to kill. Let's take a look at some of the Dr. Pepper Impact players.
I'm all about DeAndre Furby. You see this young man in person. He's just got so much size to him. But again, Dion Yelder at tight end, not on the record books last year at all whatsoever at any kind of category offensively. And he's one of their leading wide receivers tonight. And obviously Mike White, the quarterback that is just leading the conference in all of your passing plays.
Yeah, Yelder with 5 scoring receptions, comes in with 43 catches, a former walk-on for this Western Kentucky program. And Kylan Towner, the 5th-year senior from Mobile, Alabama. Boy, in that first start of the season, he had 6 catches for 111 yards and a 59-yard touchdown reception. He is a big loss because he gives that offensive lineup more speed. Junior Adams says they have plenty of speed in that offensive lineup, but they certainly are a different team with Towner. It's sad to see him go down in the first play, the offensive play of the ball game.
Yeah, coach was really excited about getting him back. Sanders was talking about good luck catching him. If you could touch him, you could tackle him. Good luck doing so, but it's sad to see young Towner on the ground right now.
Last year, Brett, Towner averaged over 40 yards on kickoff returns. That was the tops in the entire country. Boy, he'll be walking off the field very gingerly. I'd take a wild guess that we're not going to see him for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, you can see him flank here off to the outside. Ends up getting spun around in the air like that.
Coming up to make the stop was Brad Muhammad, the senior out of St. Petersburg. Muhammad, an interesting story, Brett, too, that he was no longer with the program. And then when Butch Davis got here, he bugged him and begged him to bring him back. And right now he's one of the better defensive backs in Conference USA. Coming in with 4 picks, just one shy of Jalen Young's 5 that leads the conference. Mike White, first pass. It's Nakarius Fant inside FIU territory for the completion and a first down.
And look for Fant to go ahead and pick up a little bit of slack now that Towner's out, especially in the return game. But you can see them go into a no huddle immediately to get on the football to try to create a little momentum after having that injury.
So the ball now on the FIU 43-yard line. Here's Furby. Furby hit immediately by Anthony Wint, who comes in with 68 tackles. He's number 1 in that category. How about some of the Dr. Pepper Impact players defensively?
One of the names you just mentioned right there, Anthony Wint and Trevon Williams. They've been the 2 studs of this program for a long time, both 2 and 3 in a few of the categories nationally. And then Furman Silva, they're looking for him to do something big on the defensive front to possibly get to Mike White and create a little bit of havoc.
Yeah, Brent Guy, the defensive coordinator, saying Wint and Williams both missed a game this year because of injuries. White swings this one out. It's going to be a big gainer all the way down inside the 20-yard line. And the ball is completed. Let me see.
You can see how fast White goes through his progressions right now, immediately dumping the ball off, swinging it out of the backfield. But the best part about that is Xavier Lane, number 9, the wide receiver on the outside, walling off those defenders.
Sorry about that. I was going to say Jakari Moses on the reception. That's his 18th. It goes for 24. They keep this one on the ground down near the 15-yard line before he's brought down. Coming up from the secondary.
You can see them playing a little bit of a 2 linebacker set, but inserting that safety coming down early, keeping them close to the line of scrimmage. But right now they're in the red zone, so obviously you got a lot wider of a field to handle as opposed to the depth. So you're going to be looking at a pretty packed box in there.
Apologize for that pause again. It was Bryce Kennedy with the tackle. I wasn't sure if it was 28 or 20. Emmanuel Lubin is number 20 in the secondary for FIU. White, nice pocket, steps up, fires, and it's incomplete. Intended receiver was Xavier Lane.
Nico Gonzalez is going to be that safety that's going to continually get down into that front. A little size on him. He's 6 foot, about 200 pounds, out of Miramar. But you can see him playing that third linebacker position and obviously making Mike White earn his money down here in the red zone.
Well, last week, Michelle mentioned 485 and 5 touchdowns. He completed his first 14 passes against Middle Tennessee. 3rd down and 5. On the year at 45%. The last 2 weeks, though, the coaching staff saying not quite as good. Have to improve on that here tonight. Ball on the 17. White flips it out. Fant has it, and he's hit immediately. Coming up to stop. By that time, it's number 20, Lubin.
Yeah, Lubin came in here right away playing glove coverage right now. FIU's defense was running with the wide receivers, and that's good to see right now, especially early in this ball game, because White does like to spread that football around.
Here's Ryan Nuss, who won that triple overtime game with a 37-yard kick against Middle Tennessee, which incidentally snapped a 3-game skid for Western Kentucky. They're going to spot the ball at the 23.5-yard line, so it'll be a 33.5-yard kick.
Getting off the field a little bit late.
FIU, they're first. 30 seconds.
Brad Muhammad coming in a little bit late on an insertion over there. You can see him running to the sideline trying to get it off, but he wasn't going to make it, so they ended up calling timeout to get him off the field.
So Nuss is 8 of 12 on the year. He's a redshirt junior from Fairfield, Ohio, with a long of 44. This will be a 33-yard kick, so it should, and I emphasize should be a chip shot for him, or at least fairly easy. So Western Kentucky trying to climb in the win column for the 7th time. Butch Davis also trying to get that 7th victory. Now keep in mind, if they should go down tonight, that they'll have another game next week. They'll host UMass. They scheduled UMass after the Indiana game was canceled because of Hurricane Irma. Nuss looking for number 9 in the field goal department here in 2017.
Wide right.
Well, I guess I spoke too soon. I said it should be a chip shot for Nuss. Obviously, it wasn't. So Mike Sanford just has to bite his lip. And the Western Kentucky defense will take the field. When we come back, FIU will have their first series of downs here on senior nights in Miami. This is presented by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave. Back in Miami, Mike Gleason along with Brett Romberg, Michelle Gingras down on the sidelines. FIU, they dodged a bullet early. 33-yard field goal missed by Ryan Nuss, and now they'll take over at the 20-yard line on senior nights. We mentioned UMass coming in next week, but senior night was scheduled tonight, so they went ahead. 20 seniors playing their final conference game here in Miami. Of course, their final regular season game will be next weekend.
Oh, they got new middle linebacker in there right now. They got Ben Holt in the middle at Western Kentucky.
Out of the shotgun, first play from scrimmage right now. That's the freshman with the sweep. Devontae Price. Price finds a lane, finds a hole, slips through, gets up over the 25-yard line to about the 27.
Tackle made by E.A. Booneway. E.A. comes all the way from the backside, makes the tackle. He's going to be all over the football field tonight. You're going to hear us probably mess his name up at least once or twice tonight, but I think we were spot on right there, Mike.
Well, Brett, he's only 2 tackles away now after that one from 100 on the season. Coming off a back-to-back 15 tackle games against Marshall and Middle Tennessee.
Got that field blitz showing right now.
They keep it on the ground. It's going to be Alex Gardner with his first carry. Gardner, the all-time leading rusher, 93 yards shy of 3,000 with 2 games to go, possibly 3 when you add in the bowl game.
You can see when you got that field blitz into the boundary, you could see the running back stop, and his originally plan was to go outside, but he ended up going ahead and cutting that thing back into the trenches where he was away from the blitz.
So Gardner picks up the first down inside 11 minutes here in the first quarter as they move the chains up over the 30-yard line. Magoo gets rid of it. This is Gardner with the catch, and he is hit immediately. Good balance. This somehow keeps his feet over the 30. Makes something out of nothing. Maybe gets a yard or two. I'm not sure how he did it. He was like a pinball. He was hit 2 or 3 times.
That's why players like Gardner play running back, and offensive linemen who could barely collect their feet on pass blocking play offensive line. You can see there Gardner just with an unbelievable ability to stay upright and create a little bit of an advantage by getting a couple yards.
So it's 2nd and 6 after picking up 4. That was his 17th reception here in 2017.
A lot of hard counts right now coming from Alex Magoo. He's trying to get that defense to show their hand, seeing what kind of blitz package they might have going on.
You mentioned the 70% recently, 11 touchdowns, 8 of the 11 over the last 4 games. He fires, this one's complete and dropped. He should have had it. That's Tony Gator, the 4th, the sophomore out of Richmond Heights.
Gator looks like he was trying to get into his route pattern prior to that catch. You always want to look the football in. I know he tried to catch it with the extended arms, but he looked like he was a little bit nervous about Ben Holt coming over and cleaning his clock a little bit.
In other words, he heard a few footsteps
Yeah,
coming in.
heard that pitter patter.
There's Magoo's numbers. The last game, a couple of scoring strikes again. Last 4 games, 2 scoring strikes each game. Big 3rd down situation out the 35-yard line, at 41% on the year. And they fire. This one's complete at the 45. Up inside Western Kentucky territory. That's going to be Austin Maloney, the sophomore out of Miami. That's his 15th catch. Now, Brett, keep in mind that Thomas Owens, who is leading the league in yardage per game, and he's out for the season, so Maloney's stepping up with a big grab.
Yeah, you can see right here the running back Alex Gardner going ahead and picking up E.A. Buniwe, creating that ability to throw the football without any pressure and obviously creating that completion.
Inside Western Kentucky territory at the 48 now. First possession for the Panthers of FIU. Gardner cuts it back, and he's stood up at the 45-yard line.
Devin Key was right there to meet him at the line of scrimmage. They're pulling offensive linemen, the backside guard and tackle, which is something that Western Kentucky doesn't do as an offensive line unit.
How about the Dr. Pepper impact players for FIU?
Well, Alex Gardner's one that I just watched pick up a blitz that a lot of running backs in this league won't be able to pick up. And not only pick it up, but pick it up with some authority. And then Alex Magoo, we talked about at the beginning of this game, looking to go ahead and rectify the 4-game losing streak they got currently against Western Kentucky.
Picked up 3 after the big hit from Devin Key. Gardner again hit immediately at the line of scrimmage.
That's Ben Holt again going ahead and coming downhill. Once he sees that pulling backside lineman, he knows immediately that this is like high school football drill again, and he's coming to meet that offensive lineman down at the line of scrimmage.
He's had 16 tackles over the last 3 games for Clayton White, defensive coordinator for Western Kentucky. They've given up fewer points since 2007, or the fewest since 2007. Clayton White said there's resume stats and there's hire and fire stats. He said those are hire and fire stats because if you don't let them score, they can't fire you. This one's complete at the 35-yard line, right on the money. And again, it's number 15, Austin Maloney, the sophomore.
You can see they're uncovering the center right now, so it's basically 2 guys over top of your guards, having that center float around and protect, along with the running back sitting there as well and protecting the quarterback. So max protection ultimately against this front.
Rich Skrosky, the offensive coordinator, saying that Bryce Singleton, a true freshman from Hilton, had taken the place of Thomas Owens, but Austin Maloney, he's probably the guy that's going to wind up being the go-to receiver for Alex Magoo. Play action, Magoo dumps it out to the McKeever, the big tight end. Cuts back inside the 15-yard line, dropped at about the 12-yard line. So Pharaoh McKeever with Thomas Owens out, the tight end, that's only his 24th catch, but he's the leading receiver now.
Yeah, this team has been one for tight ends. They've been spoiled over the last couple of years, having a couple nice tight ends on this program, and finally getting into the big fella, 6'6", 250 pounds, out of Tabor City, North Carolina.
And the Dr. Pepper impact players defensively for Western Kentucky.
I'm going to go with my defensive end, Overstreet, right now. He ended up doing the pregame speech last week, ended up lighting a fire underneath those guys and allowing them to go ahead and beat Middle Tennessee, their down-the-street rival.
He's making their 44th, or Overstreet making his 44th straight start. It's going to be Gardner with the carry inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. Boy, good red zone numbers for Butch Davis's club, though, huh? 28 of 29 coming in, 97%. 11th play of the drive. You know that 97% in the red zone for FIU, that's third best in the country. Gardner on the 11th play gets down to the 5-yard line. So the Panthers on their first possession now, knocking on the door, trying to strike first.
I like the way the offensive line is working together right now. You could see their pad level might be a little bit high for being this close to the goal line, but for the most part, they're working their double teams nice.
Arizona State leading the country, as I mentioned, FIU right behind Georgia as far as red zone numbers. Another third down situation. They can get the first down.
Looking for a cross blitz on the inside. Here it comes.
Here comes the pressure. Magoo's got to get rid of it. Fires, and this one's almost picked off very dangerously. There's number 42 you just mentioned, Derek Overstreet.
Yeah, you can see these guys right now getting ready for that cross blitz inside where they're going to send one of their linebackers first. You can see right now number 25 go ahead and create that pick, allowing E.A. Booneway to go ahead and try to make the play. But my goodness, I didn't know that Alex Magoo was this elite of foot and getting rid of that football, making a smart decision. Thank goodness they didn't catch it.
Here's a redshirt freshman out of Booker T. Washington High School here in Miami, Jose Borregales. 12 of 14 with a long of 44. He's almost automatic here, but I jinxed Ryan Nuss from Western Kentucky. But Borregales was 26 of 26 from that area in the PAT department, but this time he gets 3. Alex Magoo and the Panthers on senior night. First possession, they get 3, and they take a 3-0 lead.
Welcome back to Ricardo Silva Stadium, where FIU is leading 3-0. And just a few days ago, players teamed up with Branches, a local organization aimed at ending children and generational poverty, and Tyson Foods to help hand out turkeys ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. It's a tradition Butch Davis has taken with him to every school, and the team just really wanted to do something special for those who may not have gotten to celebrate Thanksgiving, if not for their help. So, nice way to celebrate the holidays.
Absolutely. Thanks, Michelle. Butch Davis really enjoys coaching these guys. He said they bought in from day one. As you take a look at the deep man, Cameron Eccles-Looper, the graduate student out of Ennis, Texas. He's back there with Marquez Trigg. And FIU with the 3-0 lead. They're 5-1 this year, Brett, when they score first. This is Eccles-Looper at the 4. Oh, and he is hit, and he is hit hard. Some extracurricular activity. It looks like Dames made the hit.
It was either Dames or Shamarky Spence.
Is that 30? No, you're right, Spence. I thought it was Richard Dames.
Spence just screaming up the sideline going ahead. Nobody touched him, had that wide open hit. That's the ooh and ah hit that you're looking for to go ahead and elevate that sideline. They were right next to the sideline too, so you know these boys are hyped down there.
So here comes Mike White with his second series of downs. FIU incidentally goes 13 plays, 75 yards, using 6 minutes and 25 seconds off the clock. Western Kentucky moved well on their first drive, but they missed a 33-yard field goal. White, play action. Looking, firing over the middle. Jernigan inside FIU territory, just like that. Quinn Jernigan has his 30th catch.
Actually, that was the tight end Yelder right there screeching up the side, going ahead and getting wide open. A little bit of a mismatch with the height differential right there. You see him going against Andrew Brown. That thing's going to be open all day long. White's probably going to hit that thing a couple times tonight.
Jernigan picks up 34 on the play. There's Furby, the running back, inside. Was that 16 or 19 with that big play? Was that 19?
19.
Well, I
Yelder,
stand
yeah.
corrected. Deion Yelder, then. That's his 44th catch. I apologize. I thought it was 16 in Jernigan. Saw Jernigan with a couple of touchdowns at Marshall a couple of weeks ago in that 30-23 loss, so I stand corrected. But the ball is on the 43. It's a 2nd down and 6.
Switching over the strength of the formation right now. Look for a throwback right here.
Here's Jernigan this time. Jernigan trying to weave his way through that FIU defense, and he finds a lane, and he's finally going to be dropped. And coming over, a big number 97, that's Newton Salisbury, the senior from Collinsville, Oklahoma.
You're also going to be getting a little bit of that yellow flag on the field for an illegal block, a little illegal crackback right there on Jakari Moses, coming back into the formation, trying to go ahead and clean somebody out.
Mike Sanford's team in his first year, they only average about 5 penalties a game for about 47 yards. But this one's going to be pushed back as we wait the call from Stephen Loancio.
There's no block in the back. The player hit the shoulder of the defender. 3rd down.
Well, they catch a break and they pick up the flag, much to the chagrin of the head coach of FIU, Butch Davis. Mentioned at the top of the show, he recruited you, and so many Miami players went on to the NFL, and he took off for the Cleveland Browns, and he probably could have had 2 national championships.
Yeah, he definitely could have. I think that's one of the things that he obviously wants to resurrect and write a final chapter in his book, and I think that's why he's down here in South Florida today.
3rd and 9. And the whistles will blow this dead before Mike White could get it going. This one's going to go against Western Kentucky.
Start. Number 51 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's Brandon Ray making his 53rd consecutive start for Western Kentucky.
Yeah, he's been in there a long time. It's one of those mental mistakes, whether you might be a little bit tired from the drive or you just don't get it. Also, he might have had one of them little finger twitches to go ahead and make that defensive tackle jump before him, but he got the bust there.
That's something you never had at Miami.
No, tricks of the trade. Tricks of the trade, that's what they're called.
So now it's 3rd and 14 after the penalty. White steps up nicely, plenty of time. Fant dives. It's going to be close. I think he made the first down. They're going to move the chain. So nice effort by Nakarius Fant, the senior out of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
You can see he had all the time in the world here. His offensive line has been blocking pretty decent as of late. Hearing Coach Sanford talk earlier on in the week, he gave a lot of kudos to his offensive line in that victory over Middle Tennessee State.
They needed 14. They pick up 15 as Fant dives past the marker. White looking down the middle, and this one is going to be incomplete. The intended receiver, Jaquez Sloan, the freshman out of Atlanta, stumbled as he looked up at the football. Mike Sanford was saying Sloan, the true freshman out of Atlanta, was not heavily recruited, but they think they found a diamond in the rough. He's going to be a good one.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy on the field, that's for sure. He's only 5'9", 165 pounds. But you can see him streaking down the middle, doing that little post route up the hash. That's one of the things that I think they're going to try to expose, especially when they keep continually putting that safety down in the box close to the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 10 at the 36. This one's complete to the running back. It's Marquez Trigg, the redshirt sophomore. That's his 10th reception this year. And it's going to be just shy of the first down. He picked up about 9.
You can see what they're doing right now with Cameron Eccles-Looper. He's had a couple big weeks in a row, so FIU is very aware of where he's at on the football field. So they're clearing defenders out by using him as a decoy.
Running play, trying to pick up that first down. It's going to bring up a 4th down. He got hit immediately at the line of scrimmage and pushed back. That's big number 91, Anthony Johnson, the junior from Kingsland, Georgia, making the initial contact for FIU. So big call coming up by Mike Sanford right here. They already missed a 33-yard kick. It's going to be 4th down in less than a yard. That's Milo Justi, the junior out of Palm Beach Gardens. A little bit nicked up that time on that play. We're going to take a timeout. There's 2 minutes and 13 seconds to go. Big decision coming up for Western Kentucky. When we come back, they face a 4th and about a half a yard. And back in Miami right now, 3-0, but Western Kentucky has the ball at the 27-yard line, facing a 4th and about a half a yard. And guess what? So Mike White already over 100 as he's shooting for his 7th consecutive 300-yard game. 8 of 10 for 104 yards for the quarterback. Well, Brad, I'll tell you what. They're not totally in love with their running game, but they need just a half a yard. You give it to Furby?
100%. I think so. I know they tried Trigg last round. I think they're going to go ahead and give it to Furby, the big back, see if they can pound him inside that 15-yard, 10-yard span right there. Get him close to the end zone. I know their run game has been pretty abysmal. 6, 25, -6. just a few numbers.
Trigg stays in the lineup. It's going to be a quarterback sneak. Trigg pushing White forward. And they're going to move the change, I think, thanks to the running back, Marquez Trigg. He came barreling in and pushed the quarterback forward.
I don't know. You got that prolific quarterback that's going to be playing in a bowl game. I could only imagine Coach Sanford asking at the beginning of the week, what do you want to do if we're going to go ahead and get short yardage? Do you want to go ahead and take it in? And I'm sure only being 24, 25 miles from his house, making that full circle jaunt throughout college football, I'm sure he's probably telling Coach, just go ahead and give it to me.
This could be a big loss, Brett, right here, number 53.
Yeah, Anthony
Wint. They say sideline to sideline. He puts on a clinic.
Yeah, he's second all time with 312 career tackles. Started all 12 games last year. Had 108 tackles last year.
Great instinct, work ethic, and great intelligence playing that linebacker spot. He comes off the field.
Plus, he's got two cannons for arms right there. I don't know if you noticed the arms on that young man. My goodness, he had a McDonald's straw going down the front of one of them. That bicep vein.
Inside 2 minutes now. The ball moves down to the 25 after the quarterback sneak. White steps up, fires, and overshoots his man in the end zone. That was Eccles Looper, the intended receiver. So we talk about Mike White at 66%. Career-wise, he's 66.7. He's been a little bit off on those throws into the end zone so far.
Yeah, he's been off and on throughout this season so far, but for the most part, when you're dealing with 10,556 career yards going into tonight, you know the kid's going to find a way to go ahead and make it happen.
He certainly is something else. He's already climbed up to number 3 all-time with his 104 yards passing. Remember, he started at USF, as you pointed out, and so just in 2 years, he climbs to number 3. Coming into the ball game, he was number 1 in Conference USA in passing yards, completions, completion percentage, and third down conversions, which I thought is an interesting stat. And I'll take you one step further. He's number 1 in third down touchdown passes, facing a 3rd and 5 right now at the 20-yard line.
Well, he learned from a good one. I know Brandon Dowdy, current practice squad quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, ended up teaching him the ropes when he was at Western Kentucky, so he definitely learned under a good quarterback.
And Dowdy with 111 touchdown passes during his college days. White picks up, fires it. Oh, Fant had it, and he just couldn't hold on because a nice defensive play by FAU. Looked like Muhammad again.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Brad Muhammad might have got his fingertips on this football, kind of changed the path of this ball right here. Nope. He ended up getting his hand on Fant's arm. That's what he got his hand on. Good defensive play right there by Brad Muhammad.
Here comes Ryan Nuss again. He's 0 for 1 tonight, missing from 33. They're going to spot this one at the 29, so it's a 39-yard kick. Again, his long is 44. Second attempt tonight. This time he drills it from 39, and we've got a tie ball game. So Western Kentucky missing a field goal on their first drive. FIU responded with a 75-yard drive and a field goal. And Western Kentucky comes right back with the equalizer off the foot of Ryan Nuss. 57 seconds to go, quarter number 1. We've got a 3-3 ball game. Both teams fighting for that 7th victory.
I don't think you could get any better weather than tonight either. 75 degrees right now, 75% humidity. Probably a lot different than what's going on right now in Kentucky, but I imagine 75 down here might be making these young men sweat a little bit more than normal.
You take a look at the Eastern Division, of course, FIU at 4-3, looking to 5-3. The most important number right now, though, after Florida Atlantic wrapped up the East, is that 6-4 as they try to climb to 7-4. But if they could pull out a victory here and beat UMass, they'll have 8 wins in Butch Davis's first season.
Every time you show me the statistics for FAU, Florida Atlantic, I just can't believe it. It's been a 180 if I've ever seen one in terms of coaching staff and players and rejuvenation. It's been epic for that program down here in South Florida.
Let's check in with Michelle down on the sidelines.
Thanks, guys. After Anthony Wint just kind of limped off the field, he came over to the trainer's table. They taped up both of his feet, did a little practice run. It looks like he's good to go. He's sitting on the bench right now, but I would expect to see him back in.
Boy, that would be huge for Brent Guy, the defensive coordinator, because Went is definitely the the straw that stirs that drink on the defensive side of the ball, along with Trayvon Williams. That last drive, 12 plays, 60 yards, so 4.5 minutes, 4:32. Here comes Alex McGough again. Going to keep it on the ground, and there's big number 4, Joel Iyiegbuniwe, making the initial contact again for that Western Kentucky defense.
I like the fact that Coach Davis is incorporating the fullback. You got Jacob Crowd in there going a little bit in motion, coming back across the formation and trying to kick out that remaining end man on the line of scrimmage, which is where you see the running back going ahead and cutting back into. You can see him right here, big, stocky human being right there, going ahead and cut back across the formation and try to take out that lower extremity from the last defender on the end of the line of scrimmage.
Well, they picked up 2 on that play, so it's 2nd and 8 right now. And McGough has nowhere to go, and again, it's number 4. Coming up, Iyiegbuniwe making the tackle, so that should push him over 100 on the year.
Kind of got me fooled a little bit right here. You can see they pull the center and the backside tackle, but make McGough go the other way. I did notice one thing though. Take a look at Kayib Shear, the tackle for FIU. Looked a little ginger on that pull.
Well, we played 15 minutes, the first quarter in the books, so we're going to take a timeout as they change the sides of the field now. And we have a 3-3 ball game here. FIU, Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. It's senior day for the Panthers. Both teams trying to notch win number 7 here in 2017. Second quarter from Miami coming up. Welcome back to Miami, tied up at 3-3 as we get ready to open up the second quarter. Here's what's transpired so far. Coach Davis getting on the board first, and keep in mind his Panthers are 5-1 this year when scoring first. Mike White off to another good start after hitting his first 14 last week, 8 of 12 tonight, 104 yards. And Alex McGough, 4 of 6 for 54 yards, as Brett pointed out at the top of the show, hitting about 70% over his last 4 ball games. You know, Butch Davis told us earlier this year, Brett, that McGough is actually better than 30, maybe 40 quarterbacks in the National Football League right now. So he thinks he definitely can play on Sundays. There's a blitz, and the pass is complete, and the ball is loose. If they call it a completion, they're going to say the ground that caused the fumble, I guess. So that was Darius Scott on the receiving end of that pass. And they're going to spot it to 35, so I guess they say the ground caused the fumble.
Well, you can see Antoine Kincaid off the edge right now making that blitz, but Alex stood right in there, waited for his wide receiver to get his head around, and delivered a strike right in the breadbasket.
Well, I guess the ball never touched the field, so basically he was down, though.
First down. The play is under review.
Well, they're going to go upstairs. Steve Barth will have to make the decisive call from the replay booth. It was called a completed ball. The ball never touched the ground when it came up, but I think his knee was down, so I think that's what Steve Barth is going to come up with.
Yeah, you can see him sit in here and take that shot.
Right.
I think right now what they're going to be looking at is making sure he has control of that football as he's going to the ground, because you can see that there's a hand fight going on the whole time.
So it's called a completion.
Yeah, that was great coverage by Dart. There's nothing he could do on that play. But he did have his hand up between the 2 arms of the wide receiver trying to fight for that football. So we'll see if he's got control or not.
So what do you think? I'm going to roll the dice, say that it's going to stand because his knee was down before that ball came loose.
You got to look at how many steps he took on the turf as he caught that football. It looked like he had a pretty good grip on the ball. It was just a little bit of a hand fight. It didn't look like there was any wobble going on. You can see him right now. The ball basically is in his possession. 1, 2.
Boom,
knee down. He's reaching for a first down ultimately. So, yeah, I would give him a catch on that one.
And that'll put the ball at the 35 if it stands.
That's why you do grip strength in the weight room in the offseason. Young wide receivers take note. It's not only the sticky gloves that makes the ball stick to your hands. You got to get in there and get a little grip strength stuff. Whether you're working with barbells, dumbbells, kettlebell weights, maybe carrying sandbags here or there, That's the difference maker right there, is the strength in your hand. Hold on to that football.
Here's the call now from Stephen LaMantia, our referee, coming down from Steve Barth, the replay official.
After review, the play is changed to an incomplete pass.
So much for all that.
It'll be fourth down at the 27-yard line.
Wow, that's interesting.
Clock will start
I thought his knee
on
was
the
down
snap.
before that ball came loose. But that's why we're calling the game, and that's why Steve Barth is the replay official. He has the final word.
Please put 14:57 on the clock.
So that's going to bring up a kicking situation for Stone Wilson. Wilson's going to be getting this off his foot at about the 15 by the time he lets it go.
Yeah, Stone Wilson, another big name here for FIU. He's got a career average of 39 yards, basically 39 and a half yards, and third in FIU history books.
He has a long of 71 this year as Necarius Fant is standing at the 29. He gets off a good one. Fant inside the 25 calls for the fair catch.
Yeah, that's usually Towner's responsibility. Looks like Towner we haven't seen since the beginning of probably the first drive, if I'm not mistaken, the first play when Towner ended up going out by getting clipped on that outside edge.
So a 52-yard punt that time by the punter Stone Wilson. That's his 10th of 50 plus. And here comes Mike White and company again, trying to snap this 3-3 tie with 14:49 to go before halftime. See the 106th quarterback there in FBS history to go over 10,000 yards in his career. Top of the show, Michelle mentioning 6 consecutive games over 300. He has 15 300-yard games in less than 2 years. Furby with the call. Furby wrapped up at about the 23-yard line. Bryce Kennedy coming up to make the stop from his safety position. Picked up maybe 2.
I've seen Andrew Tarver tonight make a few plays. He's that big body in the middle, number 95. I've seen him wrap up a few running backs so far tonight.
White steps up, fires, has his man. It's going to be Eccles Looper. Inside FIU territory, still on his feet, and he's tripped up. Coming up to make the stop finally is Richard Dames, true freshman out of Booker T, Washington here in Miami.
A lot of time here for the protection. Mike steps up into the pocket, creates himself a little bit of space, a little bit of room, and delivers that football like a bullet into Eccles Looper. This is what Eccles Looper does all day long. Finds ways to get open, gets a little bit of yards after catch.
38 on the play. Puts the ball on the 39-yard line of FIU now. Furby puts his head down and bowls his way inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line. And before the Marshall game, the coaching staff for Western Kentucky saying that their running game has just never really materialized this year, but to their credit, they still carry it. They rush it about 31 times a game to keep the defense honest.
After reviewing a few of their run plays, they seem to be running the football and being successful when they need to be successful. They're not going to break the big runs, but it seems like on first downs that they need to get, they seem to be coming okay with it.
There's Lucky Jackson. On the end around, he gets down close to the 25-yard line before he runs out of real estate.
You can see Noah Curtis right there chasing him down, trying to get him out of bounds. Little end around. We were looking for some bigger things as well from Lucky Jackson when we were watching him in the Marshall game a couple weeks ago. I know his co-part Baker's been out for a while now, but those two used to be peas in a pod, going ahead and have a little throwback action, some touchdowns.
Yeah, Lucky Jackson had a big game last week, though, in that triple overtime victory. 5 catches for 109. New set of downs for Mike White and company. Play action. White steps up, fires, and this one's complete for the touchdown. Lucky Jackson. Well, you call his number, and he responds.
Yeah, it looks like they needed to have a little safety help over the top. You can see these players barking back and forth at each other right here. But Lucky Jackson just doing a basic 9 route right up the sideline, ends up beating the defender. No safety help over the top. Looks like one guy might have been playing man, the other guy might have been playing zone.
So Lucky Jackson pulls one in for 93 last week. Gets the first touchdown of the ball game here tonight with 12:35 to go. Nuss nails the extra point, so he's 36 out of 37 this year. And just like that, Western Kentucky opens up a 1-touchdown lead. Mike White's touchdown, number 60 in his career, number 23 in 2017. Well, the Panthers behind the 8 ball now as they fall behind 10-3. Western Kentucky not wasting much time getting on the board.
No, not at all. About 2 minutes and 14 seconds to be exact. 5 plays, 79 yards. Mike White just lighting them up, man. 66 yards, 2 for 2 on that series.
Last week, Mike White, 5 touchdowns, caught Mason Fine, moved up to 22 to tie Fine, and Fine turns around and throws 4 against Army in that 52-49 victory over the Black Knights of Army.
And I know FIU can run the football. I know they have a great running back, and they have a couple good running backs. But when you're throwing 5 touchdowns a game, and I know they're really pumping up Magoo about his 2 touchdowns in the last 4 games. Every game he's pumping out 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
What a big hit there, too. My goodness.
Malone coming up on the kick coverage team. Really lays the wood.
Once again, when you got these open, they're called gunners on the kickoff team. Once you got these open gunners coming down the sideline like that and just sandwiching the returner, you got to get a helmet on somebody, preferably your helmet on somebody else's.
Malone, the backup defensive end behind Derek Overstreet, a true freshman from Ellenwood, Georgia. Really nailed Napoleon Maxwell, so they'll start at the 23-yard line. And here comes Magoo now, trailing by a touchdown. Mentioned White throwing it 54 times last week. Magoo threw it 50 times against Old Dominion. He's going to throw it here. Play action. He's going deep, going for the home run ball. And this one is incomplete. Derquan Mobley getting way downfield in coverage that time for Western Kentucky. The intended receiver was Austin Maloney.
See, I'm wondering right now if Maloney should have just kept his feet on the ground and kept running as opposed to stopping and trying to jump and catch this football. Might have been a little bit underthrown. Alex Magoo going, trying to go yard on him. I'm wondering if he kept seeing what I was seeing with Devin Key and Drell Green kind of creeping up into the line of scrimmage a little bit closer, trying to just keep those safeties honest by trying to throw a route behind them.
Here comes Magoo on the option, pitches it out. And it's going to be Maxwell, Napoleon Maxwell, the junior who missed the last 2 years because of a knee problem, knee surgery.
He was met by LeVerick Johnson, too. LeVerick Johnson was sitting right there in the hole, played the option very, very well. One man has the pitch man, which is obviously LeVerick Johnson, and then you had obviously Ben Holt going ahead and holding on to that quarterback. Good assignment football, playing real good assignment football right now, Western Kentucky's defense.
A nice open field tackle by LeVerick Johnson, former nickel who's playing some corner because of injuries. Little pump fake, and over the middle, this one's complete. Over the 35-yard line.
Looks like they're going to hurry up and try to get on this football immediately to try to get some of this momentum going. Giving Western Kentucky a little bit of their own medicine.
Another true freshman out of Miami, that was Shermar Thornton with the catch. That's only his 6th catch, Brett, but he's averaging almost 16 yards a catch for the Panthers this year.
That's what you call an explosive receiver.
This time they do keep it on the ground over the 40-yard line. Boy, keeping them moving that time. Boy, nice run by Shandarius Phillips, the sophomore on Delray Beach that time. Gets up over the 45-yard line.
You can see Shandarius Phillips right here just going ahead and grinding with the football, almost hiding behind his big offensive lineman right there, right behind big center Neil Mars. 6'3", 305-pound center out of Orange Park. This offensive line got a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger this year. The strength program got intensified a little bit. Coach Davis brought in some heavy-duty dollars to go ahead and increase the weight room, the dietitian, the protein staff, everything.
2nd down and 2. This one's complete to the freshman, and a good open field tackle coming up again is Derquan Mobley. the redshirt junior linebacker from Louisville. So that'll bring up a third down.
That was a good job right there by right guard Dallas Connell. I'm going to take a moment to go ahead and highlight a little bit of my offensive lineman here. Dallas Connell right there saw the middle linebacker trying to blitz in, saw Ben Holt come down the field, maybe try to lay a hit on the quarterback, and he ended up going ahead and pick up that blitz. Very nice, very quick response time by him.
I apologize too, number 7, that's Joe Brown making that stop. So that was Brown on the last 2 defensive plays, not Mobley.
Single high safety right now.
Flips it out. This is going to be a first down. And again, it's Thornton with his second catch, the freshman out of Miami. And they're going to move the chains.
They ended up having 2 guys on him. One guy has to come up and force the quarterback to throw the football. And the other one obviously is going to stay in coverage right here. But you can see right there, obviously the one that had to go up and force was LeVerick Johnson.
Inside Hilltopper territory at the 45, inside 10 minutes before halftime right now. Hit the right side. Again, it's Shundarius Phillips with the carry. Overstreet with the tackle for Western Kentucky.
The one thing you could hear up here in the booth is Alex McGough going ahead and giving these hard counts. And you could hear the quarterback. Hard counts are given for a bunch of different reasons, whether it's to try to get the defensive lineman to jump offside, to try to get them to show their hand on a blitz package. But it seems to me that Western Kentucky likes to do a little bit of stemming when they're on the line of scrimmage. What that is when the defensive linemen put their hand in the dirt, they like to move around a little bit, whether that causes the O-lineman to jump offside or just shift the front. It gets to show the quarterback and the offensive line time to go ahead and block their assignment.
Here comes a blitz. Boy, nice job of picking up the blitz, and McGough has time to flip it. And he's got his man, the freshman, Singleton, inside the 15-yard line. So that's Bryce Singleton's 9th catch and his first of the ball game.
Unfortunately, right here, I think they might have just lost their center, Neil Mars. That was not a good-looking play right there on the offensive line.
It's going to be interesting if Neil Mars leaves the ball game, and of course he'll have to leave at least one play. It's going to be Shane McGough snapping it to his brother Alex McGough. The center quarterback combination here for FIU.
You might want to close your eyes here if you're not into some stuff, but you can see the center ultimately
bent over.
Get bent over himself right now. That was his knee. He does have knee braces on, but when you got another 300-pound defensive lineman falling on the outside of your knee, it doesn't fare well.
So the junior from Orange Park well, that's the second Panther we've seen helped off the field, hopping on one leg. So Alex McGough is going to have his brother Shane McGough, redshirt freshman, snapping him the football.
We've seen some brutal injuries right now in the last couple days in college football. I know everybody probably saw last night Mississippi State's quarterback get a little messed up as well with his ankle injury. This is probably one of the more graphic knee injuries I've seen this year. I wish nothing but the best for him. I start sweating the minute I start seeing those kind of things. So Neil Mars, I hope you have a speedy recovery, young man.
So Shane McGough takes over at center. Alex with play action, flips it out. And Devontae Price gets inside the 5-yard line with a second catch.
I like the way he ran that one too as well, with a little bit of authority. He had somebody trying to come up and try to challenge him at the line of scrimmage there. Juwan Gardner tried to come up and lay that hit, but he ended up delivering it as opposed to accepting it.
You know, Brett Price, the true freshman, only carried it 12 times coming in, but he's averaging almost 9 yards a carry on those 12 carries. So it goes without saying that his reps continue to go up as they go deeper into the season. There's a run into the end zone. It's going to be Shundarius Phillips. Well, he was determined, and that's his first rushing touchdown this year.
He seems like he's been carrying a few white jerseys tonight, Mike. The power, the lower body. He's not exactly the biggest human being either. He's 5'11", 2 1/4, low to the ground, really strong with the lower body, just driving and carrying a few white jerseys with him. That was a great double team and a great block by Alex McGough's younger brother coming in there and taking care of business.
Jose Bargalos on for the extra point. So the Panthers have been bowl eligible since November 4th with this PAT. They tied up at 10-10, so Bargalos now 27 of 27 here in 2017. 7:24 to go before halftime, and we've got a 10-10 ball game. Well, back in Miami, FIU's Neil Mars, the starting center, out with an injury now as they take a look at him and Shane Magoo, the quarterback, Alex Magoo's brother, comes in to play center, and it's not the first time they've ever played together.
You can see this. Isn't this cute? Made a little joke off air about my brother taking a snap from me. I thought that would be pretty funny. But yeah, these young men have been going at it for a long time. It's really cool. When I heard last year that his brother was actually coming here, I thought that would be pretty neat to have the ability to go ahead and play with your brother at this college football level.
Echoes Looper back to receive the kick along with Marquez Trigg. That last scoring drive for FIU, 77 yards that time in 10 plays, using up 5 minutes and 11 seconds. And we knew we'd have a good one as both teams need that 7th victory, but we're all deadlocked at 10-10 now. Here's a good kick. And this one's going to go out of the back of the end zone, so Sean Young will make sure Western Kentucky starts at the 25-yard line. There's penalty flags coming down late, very late.
That's Yelder trying to give it a little shove at the end of the play right there. That's well done. Well done. You get Colin Olson in there, the running back running down on the kick, and the tight end Yelder for Western Kentucky went ahead and kind of threw him to the ground post kick. So they're going to take a little bit of back off of that kick right now.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 19 of the return team. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
This is just kind of the things that you don't really need in college football right now. That could obviously get somebody hurt. I could imagine if Yelder had one of his own football players there, maybe laying right next to where he just got thrown in and rolled up on his legs, probably thinking a little bit differently post-play, throwing the guys around on the ground like that.
A little shove, that's all it was, a little shove.
Frustrates me a little bit. Just stupid penalties.
So here comes Mike White again, 10 of 14 to open things up with a touchdown. He's thrown for 170 already with 7:24 to go before halftime. Furby gets the call, bounces it to the outside. Furby is tripped up. Coming up to make the tackle is Andrew Brown, the senior from Decatur, Georgia.
I like the way that the linebackers right now for FIU are coming downhill and filling those gaps. It makes the offensive linemen of Western Kentucky come off of their double teams, and that's why you saw Furby go backside on that run play. That was originally orchestrated to go ahead and get to the field to the left-hand side of the center, but he had to cut it back due to the fact that the linebackers scraping over top so fast.
Only gets 5 after the tackle from Andrew Brown, and if Brown doesn't come up, there's a lot of green in front of Furby that time. There's Furby again up over the 20-yard line. Remember the last time before Marshall, they said he'd like to, Mike Sanford said, I'd like to have a 22 carry back. Well, Furby carried it 21 times last week, so it's not quite 22.
I remember we were talking to Coach about the concern about the lack of running game, and the coaches on the FIU side of the football were talking about if you really do break down their running game and their average per carry and minus some of those sacks, them 37 sacks, their yardage per carry is actually pretty impressive.
Right now it's only 2.8 though, partner, in this ball game, hence Mike White, and Mike White's going down. Big Anthony Johnson got in there first, and that's going to be 3.5 sacks for him.
You can see Anthony Johnson right here just destroy the nose guard, coming right up through the gut, had nowhere to go. That's a great play right there when you're one-on-one. Yeah, that's your right guard getting beat right there. Miles Pate is in there right now for Tyler Witt.
So the Panthers now with 16 sacks for Brent Guy, the defensive coordinator, 7 sacks in the last 4 games coming into this one. And Jake Collins on the punt for the first time. So FIU with just under 5.5 minutes, they're going to have plenty of field position here as Gator lets it hit at about the 45-yard line. So FIU only 55 yards away after going 77 on the last drive. Another penalty flag down. Way back near the line of scrimmage, actually. Or unfortunately, very close to where the kicker Collins got rid of that football.
Yeah, they're looking at seeing if he got pushed into the kicker or if he didn't get pushed into the kicker and went in there on his own will.
Running into the kicker, 5-yard penalty. That penalty is declined. First down.
So FIU will take it at the 45, almost the 46. Actually, they're going to spot it at the 46. And Alex Magoo and company now with 5 minutes and 17 seconds to go before halftime. Butch Davis said something interesting when they played Charlotte earlier this year. BN Sports had the ball game. He said, you know, quarterback's got to know on Tuesday or Wednesday that he's not going to get his head chewed off by the coaching staff, and that's worked wonders for Magoo, because Rich Skrosky is saying that the difference between that Charlotte game and now is he's got so much more command of the offense here as a senior. There's some movement on that offensive front, or at least they better hope it is, because Lewis was almost in the backfield. Yeah, they're going to call it against FIU.
Illegal snap. Number 55 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Alex's brother in there. He's got to know the sound of his brother's voice with that inflection, right? I'm sure his older brother barks at him at home a little bit once in a while. So you can see the center gets a little bit excited, tries to pull the ball, makes a nose guard jump over top of him.
So it pushes it just over the 40-yard line now. It's first and 15 at the 41. Magoo near side. Gator with the completion coming up fast. It's going to be Coco Darden making the stop.
The one thing about Alex that I've been noticing, especially in the last couple of years covering him, he's had a few different head coaches. He had Ron Turner in here, then he had the interim Ron Cooper, and now Butch Davis. So he's gone through a few different offensive coordinators and had to learn a few different offenses, but he's obviously excelling in this one this year, his senior season.
That's a great point you bring up, too. What about the other side of the line of scrimmage? Western Kentucky, the fifth-year seniors. I mean, they had Willie Taggart, Bobby Petrino, Brom, and now Mike Sanford. There goes Magoo all the way down close to the 35-yard line. Saw the opening, and he took it and picks up a big gainer.
Magoo says to everybody, well, if you're not going to get open, I might as well go ahead and do this all on my own. That's a great block right there on Overstreet as well. That's when you get your wide receivers, your tight ends getting involved. That's why you see a running back running up the football field 10 to 12 yards, free of even getting touched.
Yeah, Magoo picks up 18 on that play, all the way down to the 36. A little over 4 minutes to go before halftime. Tied up at 10-10. Magoo, play action, plenty of time, steps up, fires, has his man at the 22-yard line. And again, it's the big tight end, Pharaoh McKeever. But what a resume he has, huh? I mean, a quarterback and a safety in high school, defensive end, wide receiver, tight end at NC State.
Yeah, that's one of the graduate transfers you see that came on over. I know Coach Davis is one attractive coach to go ahead and bring a few of these young men over, whether it's grad transfers, JUCO players, and even now trying to bang on the doors of a lot of the South Florida talent that might want to go to Florida or Florida Gators or tell Tallahassee up there to go visit Florida State. I don't know why you would, or the University of Miami.
I get it. Inside the red zone now, down to the 20, or maybe the 17-yard line. That's Napoleon Maxwell with the carry. That last completion of McKeever was 15, so the last two plays, Magoo gets 18 with his legs and then picks up 15, hitting his big tight end. 3:12, clock is running, ball on the 17-yard line.
They just got one wide receiver down here into the boundary. Got the fullback stacked behind the tackle. They're going to call timeout.
That's going to be their second of three with 2:55 to go.
FIU, their second.
So the Panthers will have one timeout remaining. We're going to take a break here from Miami, Florida. Thanksgiving weekend, senior day for the Panthers, and they're threatening now. Ball on the 17-yard line. Well, back in Miami, tied up at 10-10. There's 2 minutes and 55 seconds to go. FIU using up two of their three timeouts, but they're threatening at the 17-yard line right now. So Magoo, Brett, he's hit 7 straight now as he moves his team down into scoring position again. There's is that percentage you talked about, 70% over the last 4 games.
He's had a couple big games this year. He went 35 for 50, as you mentioned, against ODU for 322 yards, and then he had 328 yards against Alcorn as well. He's currently right now top 3 in the completions, and he's second at 768. This guy's balling out. This is having his best year probably right now, and again, I attribute a lot of that to the comfortability of a new head coach, a little bit of stability with the program, and also having your little brother come into town a little bit to try to show off doesn't hurt either.
Well, Magoo, 61 touchdown passes, number 1 all time. Gardner with the run inside the 15-yard line. Or check that, I thought it was number 1. It's actually number 21 with that carry for FIU. So getting his first carry of the night, it's going to be Thomas Stanley Thomas rather, sophomore out of Punta Gorda.
Hey, he was on the all-freshman team for Conference USA back in 2016. He had a great year.
More on Magoo and Gardner, Thomas Owens right after this play. Complete at the 10-yard line. Brown makes the tackle, and that's going to bring up a... No, they're going to move the chains. It's going to be a first down.
And again, when you're looking at the red zone efficiency right now with FIU, 28 of 29, again, 97% coming into this game, 3rd nationally. So you know these kids are scoring points when they get in the red zone.
So Magoo now with 8 straight completions. Minute 42 and counting. It's 1st and goal at the 10.
There we go.
Magoo. And he just flips this one away. You know, Farrell McKeever, the big tight end, was not looking, but if he had caught that ball with his size, he might have rumbled into the end zone. I was just about to say that earlier this year, Magoo was saying that he, Alex Gardner, and Thomas Owens had a dream of becoming the 3 best to play at this school, but they'd never won. Well, now they're winning, and you think of the 61 touchdown passes, that's number 1 all-time. Gardner's the all-time leading rusher at this school, and Thomas Owens, he was leading Conference USA in receiving yards and receiving yards per game, and he was only 3 touchdowns shy of tying T.Y. Hilton's all-time. So all 3 having pretty good careers, but they're finally winning some football games here in 2017. This one's thrown away. It's going to bring up a 3rd and goal at the 10.
I think that's the one thing I'm noticing this year different about Alex Magoo. Not only his pocket presence, the way that he can move around in that pocket and smell a rat when it comes to going ahead and getting pressure, but he also has the intelligence factor of throwing the ball away as opposed to launching one downfield and giving up a pick. And you're talking about T.O. Imagine right here you can see him step up, shuffle to the right, step back, ends up floating over, and then realizes nobody's open. Just go ahead and get rid of that football, live to fight another day. You got 2 more opportunities.
4 wideouts, trips to the top of your screen, 1st and goal at the, or 3rd and goal at the 10, minute 25 to go. Magoo swings it out in the flats. It's complete inside the 5-yard line. Coming up to stop Heath Wiggins. And Napoleon Maxwell on the receiving end that time.
Again, great protection by this offensive front. Allowing Magoo to sit in there and deliver the football. But you talked a little bit about T.O. and his absence, and it's been one of those things where he had the opportunity this year to go over 1,000 yards. I believe he was 4 games straight with over 100-yard catching. Just one of those dynamic wide receivers that was leading the conference. He had 887 yards. You know, it's a shame that the 3 Musketeers got broken up on that offensive side of the football for FIU.
Yeah, we mentioned he was 3 touchdowns shy of T.Y. Hilton's single-season record, or actually his career record. He was also only 151 yards shy of Hilton's single-season record, and obviously he would have got that if he had stayed healthy. So, but they're saying his spirits have been pretty good, even though he's out for the season, and maybe get him back for the bowl game. Who knows?
That would be nice, but I imagine his focus is probably going to be a little bit more on the NFL and trying to get ready for that NFL combine and the draft.
Well, they got it down to the 3-yard line, so it's 4th and goal. But here's Jose Borregales now, the redshirt freshman kicker. And that's a chip shot for him, so he's 2 for 2 and 14 of 16 on the season now. And with 67 seconds to go before halftime, the Panthers move out in front again by 3, 13-10. Boy, Borregales has been moneyed this year for Butch Davis, kicking that football. Hasn't missed an extra point. Now he's 14 of 16. It's pretty good for a redshirt freshman.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably more impressed at the term you just used, calling him money. I appreciated that one. I liked it. I haven't heard anybody get called money in a while.
I'm sure that's what they used to say when you guys played at Miami, right?
Back in the day.
It's another nice drive by McGough and company. This one 10 plays, 51 yards, using up 4 minutes. So Eccles Looper and Marquez Trigg go back to receive the kick again. So Butch Davis was saying, hey, the Cowboys were 1-15 at one time, and we won 2 Super Bowls there.
Don't tell me that that's the speech he gave you when you guys interviewed him.
No, he was just saying TCU and Kansas State once were a joke, and now they're 2 respected programs. He said, why not us? Well, obviously, his players have bought in.
If you were to ask the big shots at the University of Florida International here, Florida International University, about Butch Davis coming in 1 year, possibly taking them to a bowl game, I'm sure they would have been extremely excited.
Well, a victory tonight would be number 7, and if they could beat UMass, it would be number 8. That'd be one heck of a year. Depending on where they played their bowl game, they could wind up with 9 wins in Butch Davis's first year here. See, the 2-time Super Bowl champions with the Dallas Cowboys and an assistant. 11-1 in 2000. In 2001, of course, you won the national championship at Miami.
And we should have won it in 2002, but instead of us going to the national championship, Florida State got the nod to go probably play the most boring college football national championship there ever was or ever will be. I believe the score might have been 13-6 that one. We would have done a little bit of a better job, I believe.
Who'd you beat? Nebraska that one year, right?
Yeah, the following year we ended up killing Nebraska. But we ended up playing the Florida Gators in the Sugar Bowl that year. And we ended up getting into it a little bit with them on the streets of Bourbon.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we ended up taking the W on the street, and we took the W as well in the stadium as well. So we got away with 2 victories that week.
And if it's any consolation, I think the Ohio State game, that was a no call at the end. So you probably should have beat the Buckeyes too.
Good old Terry Porter.
Mike White, plenty of time, steps up. Eccles Looper with the catch, and he's still on his feet over the 30 at about the 32. Forward progress might move it to the 33. The clock is running. Might as well go down and save a couple of seconds to give Mike White an extra play or 2.
Again, nice little protection right there. Had the running back come out of the backfield, laying a couple blocks. They're just going to try to hold him up and burn more time.
White, this one's batted down at the line of scrimmage. I think it was Anthony Johnson who got his big paw up there.
Yeah, it was. He's having a great night tonight. Got a batted ball, got a sack so far tonight in the first half.
Yeah, Brent Guy, the defensive coordinator, saying that down in the trenches, they probably got knocked off the ball a little more than they liked against FAU. But the defensive front playing very well here tonight as Tony Gator IV goes back. He's standing at the 30, and they still have, well, about 28 seconds. So
if you were to go with FIU's shifty football player, this would be him. Gator back there loves to make people miss. He's the Towner of FIU.
Gator takes it. Fair catch at the 27. So Alex McGough, just 20 seconds. I guess they head for the locker room. I doubt if they try to go for broke here with just 20 seconds to go, and they're still about 73 yards away from pay dirt. So.
At their 27-yard line.
Well, I'm actually pretty happy and surprised with Western Kentucky's offensive line play. You know, giving up 37 sacks and being one of the catalysts of that offense is the fact that the offensive line was giving up so many sacks and not running the football. I thought they did a pretty good job tonight in the first half, only giving up the 1 to Johnson.
Well, they don't even try one play as they get into the victory formation there. And McGough takes the knee. That's going to be the final play of the first half. We played 30 minutes, and let's head down to Michelle, who's standing by with Butch Davis.
Coach, Alex McGough has been 70% in his past 4 games. How has his impact helped generate your offense this first half?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks, certainly that I've ever coached. And, you know, he does a great job with his progressional reads. He knows where all his check downs are. You know, he's putting the ball in places where our guys can make a catch, not making any threatening throws.
6 wins makes you bowl eligible. 7 wins secures it a little bit more. Was that stress? I know you don't need extra motivation, but was that something that was stressed going into this game?
To be honest with you, I mean, we got all we needed is motivation against Western Kentucky. This has been a team that's dominated Conference USA over the last 3 or 4 years. They're very well coached. They're very talented. It's a big enough challenge without anything else.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Michelle. And Brett, your thoughts on the first 30 minutes?
I was impressed. I was impressed with Magoo for the most part. I covered him last year, and I got to see him in the studio this year. I wasn't able to do any of the game, but his decision-making is probably the thing that's setting the bar above anything else right now. Obviously, Mike White is a touchdown phenom, throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, averaging. But you're looking at the decision-making that Magoo is doing, whether he's getting out of bounds or he's dumping the ball off and having the ability to go ahead and live to fight another day. That's the deciding factor for me right now is Alex Magoo, the quarterback for FIU.
Well, Mike White does have a touchdown, but Alex Magoo and the Panthers have the lead. It's 13-10 as we head down to the Miami studios for the halftime report with Jeremy St. Louis.
Thanks very much, Mike Gleason. Appreciate that.
And we welcome you back to Miami as we take a look at the game trends. We look at Western Kentucky, just less than 2 yards per rush. And what's jumping off of that graphic right there? Both quarterbacks have really spread the wealth around, huh?
Yeah, you're looking at 24 total completions to 17 different receivers. You got 8 receivers for Western Kentucky and 9 receivers for Florida International. It's just been one of those days where you're spreading the football around, not making many mistakes, and allowing your wide receivers to capitalize off of you.
Earlier in the broadcast, we mentioned the fact that FIU was 3rd in the country at 28 of 29 in the red zone. You saw in that graphic, perfect 3 for 3 for Butch Davis tonight as they take that 13-10 lead. Let's check in with Michelle.
Thanks, guys. Just caught up with Mike White. He said he liked the way that I'm sorry, not Mike White. Mike Sanford, he said he liked the way his team moved the football and limited the FIU's chances in the red zone, but he said overall his defense just needs to be better, that they are better than that. Wants the offense to continue to stay aggressive. And also just an update on Towner. He is out. He will not return. He was on the sidelines in crutches and a walking boot, and I can relate to that.
You certainly can. In the second half, we're going to talk about your injury list. As Clayton White, the defensive coordinator, says, hey, it's November. Nobody's healthy, really. And Michelle,
including our sideline reporter,
she's a little bit dinged up tonight too. We'll talk more about that here in the second half as Bryce Singleton, the freshman, goes back to receive the second half kick. Well, you know, Brett and I were just talking, Michelle. You talked about aggressive, the operative word. Look for Mike White to really start teeing it up here in the 3rd or 4th quarter, like he did at Marshall. They just ran out of time against Marshall. Bryce Singleton lets it hit to the back of the end zone, so FIU will open up the second half from the 25-yard line.
And the thing that stands out to me so far tonight is really no mistakes if you're looking at it. Low penalties, no turnovers, 3rd down conversions. Obviously, FIU has a little bit of the upper hand on that one, 5 of 8. But if you're looking at an even ball game, you can't really get more even than this, and especially with FIU coming in here being a little bit more of a juggernaut in the running game, they're held pretty comparable as well, only going for 63 yards so far.
Yeah, we mentioned Western Kentucky's at 45% on 3rd down conversions, and the coaching staff saying they haven't been that good the last couple of weeks. Well, just 1 for 6 in that first down. Here's Magoo coming in. You mentioned 70% over his last 4 games. He had 68% in that first half. 13 of 19 for $145. First play of the second half, and they're going to keep it on the ground. Trying to bounce to the outside and sweep that right side. It's going to be Napoleon Maxwell. And Maxwell just over the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard.
Yeah, they're looking at the speed of Napoleon Maxwell, but it seems like he's getting met on that sideline just as fast as he's getting out there. But unfortunately for them, you just saw their starting corner, Joe Brown, getting helped off to the side right now he was one of the ones that laid that big hit.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier that LeVerick Johnson, normally a nickel, goes over and plays the corner as well. DeAndre Ferris has had a great year, but DeAndre Simmons was supposed to be the starting cornerback. So they've been dinged up, as most teams are at this time of the year, but both teams playing a lot of freshmen. A lot of first-year players, players getting their first starts of their collegiate career. Third and 6 on the opening possession of the second half. As you mentioned, 5 of 8 on third down conversions in that first half. Here comes the pressure. Darden, the nickelback, was in on, and Magoo showing some elusive moves right there. Gets past the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up a fourth down.
Yeah, you can see Magoo going ahead, just taking it on his own with his feet right now. But he was definitely met before he got out of bounds. Cy White was there to go ahead and let him know that you ain't going to get to the sideline that fast.
You know, speaking of some of the defensive injuries too, Marcus Ward had 32 starts before he was lost for the season. That's Fant back at the 29-yard line. And Stone Wilson on for his first punt of the second half.
Oh, it looks like they're going to be bringing it on here.
Here's the kick. Fant, a first-team all-conference punt returner last year, calls for the fair catch at the 30. They'll spot it at the 31. He puts it down at the 32, but they'll move it back a yard. So Mike White and company now trailing by 3, 13-10. Will have their first possession here of the second half.
They were going to bring the pressure off the top side of the screen right there, and you can see Lane lower the shoulder a little bit, let him know that he was there. That's that safety, Jarrell Green, to go ahead and just put it on him a little bit.
First and 10, Hilltoppers.
White at 65% in the first half. Twin receivers to the near side. White wants to open up the second half, throwing the football, and it's complete. Forward progress should put this close to the 35-yard line. It's going to be Quinn Jernigan on the receiving end of that pass. Muhammad in coverage again for FIU.
Quinn Jernigan's probably one of the taller wide receivers of the crew at 6'3", 210 pounds. He's a big target, very similar to Deion Yelder, 6'4", 255-pound tight end. But look for them to go ahead and have a little bit of a better second half than the first.
Echoes Looper with the catch up near the first down markers, and they're going to give him the first down. They're going to move the chains. Incidentally, that last catch by Quinn Jernigan was the 9th different receiver, so each team hitting 9 receivers. That's
and it looks like they're keeping the two big fellas down here at the bottom of your screen. You can see them into the field, both Yelder and Jernigan.
White steps up, plenty of time, has his man over the 45-yard line. It's going to be Echoes Looper. You mentioned the big numbers he put up last year, Mike White, the 37 touchdowns. He also led the nation 44 completions of 30 yards or more, 24 completions of 40-plus. And it looks like he's finding his groove right now in the first possession of the second half.
Well, he's dealing with a little bit of a mismatch right now. He's got the safety, Nico Gonzalez, who's quite a bit bigger than Looper. So they're going to try to continually isolate Looper over on Nico to see if they can go ahead and get him to burn him once or twice.
Jernigan again on the reception. A decent coverage by Andrew Brown, but put right on the money. Inside Panther territory at the 48-yard line. Fant in motion. White plenty of time again, and he has his big tight end for a second catch, Deion Yelder.
White pass complete. Deion Yelder.
5th-year senior from Louisville.
Again, that's another mismatch. You got Bryce Kennedy, 6 foot, 190 pounds, out of Jacksonville. He's a senior. He's covering Big Yelder coming across the front. That's another mismatch right now. So clearly right now, Coach Sanders is finding his mismatches on this football field due to the size differential.
Trailing by 3. Friday nights have been very good to Western Kentucky over the years. See White 5 for 5 already on this drive, the first drive of the second half for the Hilltoppers. He wants to throw it again. Rolls left, finds Jernigan. Jernigan at the 31-yard line. And again, it's Muhammad, Brad Muhammad coming up to make the stop.
Yeah, nice little tandem tackle by Muhammad right there, going ahead and holding him up while his safety comes in, Nico Gonzalez, and goes ahead and cleans that tackle up.
Trips to the near side. Again, it's complete inside the 30-yard line. Put it right on the money. Again, it's Jernigan. So Jernigan with 3 catches here on this drive.
Yeah, Mike White continues to hit his checkdowns. You can see him throwing the ball quite a bit over the middle of the football field. I don't know if that's due to the fact that the middle linebacker, Anthony Wynn, might have a couple taped ankles right now. We don't know what's going on with his situation, but they're finding holes in the middle of this defense.
Brent Guy said that FAU up-tempoed them, and it bothered the Panther defense. It looks like they've really picked up the tempo here. And Lucky Jackson, there's no penalty flag there. He had to go high for that one. Again, if anything, White's a little bit high on some of his throws.
You can see Dames at the top of your screen right now, going ahead and coming in and make sure that Lucky Jackson doesn't come down with that football.
Big third down play. They've been moving 3rd and 6.
This is a big play for the offensive line right here. Make sure you hold up with the pressure.
Here comes the rush, and it's batted down. It's picked off. Penalty flag dropped. This could be a pick 6. Emmanuel Lubin, the junior out of Miami, penalty flag dropped back at the 41-yard line.
I'm wondering if they're going to get holding on this one, because they blocked the floodgates on that one. There was plenty.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 99 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. First down.
James Sheriff, the junior out of Fort Lauderdale. He's number 99.
He's the defensive tackle right now at the bottom of your screen, working against that right guard. Did something happen post-contact? Because that to me looked like a basic quarterback hit to me. Something might have happened post, but.
Wow. Costly penalty flag there against the Panthers. And that's going to move the ball all the way down inside the 15-yard line.
Wow, what a swing that is.
And Lubin has a pick 6 taken off the board. Empty backfield now for the senior quarterback. Steps up, touchdown, Fant. Macarius Fant gets his 4th receiving touchdown, and of Mike White, that's his 2nd tonight, his 24th this year.
Well, the series of events, the one before was a pick 6 that ended up getting called back. But obviously you're going to take advantage of that opportunity when you get 15 yards added onto that play. That's where you find Macarius Fant in the end zone. Well, it didn't take long for Mike White to go ahead and turn around coming out of the tunnel and climb the football field.
Yes. Boy, that pick 6 really had a good chance to take some of the wind out of that Western Kentucky sails. Costly penalty. Mike White capitalizes with his 2nd scoring strike. This one to Macarius Fant. 24-13. Hilltoppers by 4. I got to start watching the truck more than the scoreboard. They had 24 on the scoreboard earlier. So 17-13, that's our official score. And here's the big play, the penalty against FIU, and it's questionable at best.
Oh, I would say so. Take a look at the right guard going against number 99 right now, making the tackle on the quarterback.
Wow.
What it looked like to me, I think the referee might be calling the reaction of the quarterback's head as opposed to what really happened on the play. They got away with one right there. It could have been 20-10 for FIU.
Singleton lets this one hit the official, and it's into the end zone, so they'll take it at the 25-yard line. Boy, what are the odds of all that green down there, and it hits the official right by the pylon. Boy, what a costly. They've got to be scratching their head, especially James Sheriff, who was charged with that penalty.
Well, right now you just don't want to make an excuse out of it, to tell you the truth. You want to be sitting there right now as the defensive unit's on the bench right now going over things with their defensive coach. You want to go ahead and put it behind you. You don't want to reflect on it. You don't want to start pointing fingers. It definitely is a deflating play, but you got to go ahead and move on and capitalize and continue to push on. There's still plenty of football to be played.
Well, Rich Grosky says this is where Magoo takes command of the offense. He's shown a lot of poise. Wants to come up firing, has his man over the 35-yard line up to the 40. This one's complete. And it's going to be Shermar Thornton, the true freshman from Miami, with his third catch.
Yeah, this ball came out of his hand like a dart, just smoke, and he stepped up into the throw, led off with his front foot, pushed the back foot through. Mechanics look nice. The ball release was nice and high. If he has all that time, I think this is going to be a long night for that secondary of Western Kentucky.
13 completions in the first half. 4 times he's completed at least 20 passes. This will be his 5th time tonight, no doubt. Going to keep this one on the ground. You know, Brett, we haven't seen a lot of Gardner, Alex Gardner, their leading rusher. I don't know if he's dinged up a little bit. We've seen Maxwell and Shandarius Phillips getting most of the action in the backfield tonight for FIU.
Yeah, the coaches said that all the backs were going to get a little bit of a turn, so I'm wondering if Gardner, that might be the reason behind it, is he might be a little banged up.
Twin receivers to the top of your screen, 2nd and 6 after picking up 4. Jacob Kraut, the big fullback, in motion. They're going to keep it on the ground. It's a good thing they did, too, because Coco Darden was coming in, and he had zeroed in on number 12, the quarterback.
Yeah, we never talked too much about that new defensive front that Western Kentucky's been playing with. The 4-2-5, where you're bringing in an extra defensive back as your linebacker, and that would be Darden, number 15, as your extra defensive back / linebacker. Not the biggest guy on the field, again, about 5'9", 180 pounds, but definitely doing the job.
3rd and 2. The freshman's going to pick it up. Price, Devontae Price, loses the ball, but it goes out of bounds. Nice hit by number 15 coming over there. That's Darden, another former walk-on for Western Kentucky. He was a big time player.
You can see the spark plug coming out of the backfield right there, trying to avoid the lower leg tackles.
Well,
Ended up losing the football.
It wasn't Darden over there. It was Drell Green, the safety, coming up to make the stop. 15 is Darden.
Yeah, Drell Green's been a hell of a player for them this year. Started all 10 games for him so far. He's got 60 tackles, a couple picks, and 3 tackles for loss this year. He's all over the football field.
Timeout on the field. We haven't heard from Stephen LaMantia. It must be an official timeout right now. 7 minutes and 58 seconds to go. 3rd quarter, 17-13. Western Kentucky trying to get to 7 wins. FIU also trying to get to 7 wins, and Magoo has his Panthers on the move. New set of downs for FIU. Magoo fires near side, and this one's incomplete. Well, FIU thought that there was some extracurricular, some pass interference that time. I didn't see it. That's DeAndre Ferris in coverage. We mentioned that DeAndre Simmons was supposed to be that corner, and DeAndre Ferris, he has 14 passes broken up, which is number 5 in the country. Magoo looking, and the play action, fires down the field, and he has his man inside the 5-yard line. They're going to call it incomplete. It's the freshman, Singleton, with the catch. I don't know if he was juggling it as he went out of bounds, but Magoo thought he had it. Well, regardless, nice job of Magoo buying some time and finding the man downfield.
You can see the snap is low here, which obviously takes Magoo's eyes off of his route runners right now, so he has to get flushed out of the pocket. in order to go ahead and create a little bit of room and vision.
Geez. Was he? I guess he was juggling it. Maybe that's the call because his feet are in bounds. Yeah, he doesn't have control.
Yeah, I think he pinned it against the ground.
So it puts FIU in another third down situation, 3rd and long at the 42. Here comes some pressure right up the middle. It's Bolton. And here's the throw, and it's caught. Wow, Darius Scott.
It's been a long time since I've seen a quarterback with this type of pocket presence and ability to get away from a defender. Middle linebacker Ben Holt was in there one-on-one against a quarterback, and you could see Alex Magoo switch the ball from one hand to another to avoid the strip, put the ball back in his throwing hand, and throw a bomb dart all the way into the end zone. He's impressed me more than anybody so far this year.
So Magoo gets his 14th scoring strike this year.
Night and day from what he was last year.
Darius Scott, the sophomore out of Booker T. Washington High School here in Miami, goes up and gets the jump ball, pulls it down for the touchdown. 20-17, Panthers on top. Thanksgiving weekend in Miami. Welcome to Miami Beach. We've got a 20-17 score on Black Friday. Some of the best records around the Sunshine State. UCF won today, 49-42. There's your Hurricanes.
I don't want to talk about it.
How'd that game with Pitt?
I don't want to talk about it. It's been a brutal afternoon for me today.
Yeah, Florida State 4-6, huh? That's interesting. The Gators 4-6 as well.
Well, it looks like a lot of those decision makings about recruits, about going up north to Gainesville and Tallahassee, they might as well just stay down here between FIU, UCF, FAU, and USF. It seems like there's going to be some strong football being played south of I-4.
Well, Butch Davis said earlier this year, he said 450 Florida kids got Division I scholarships last year. He said, all I need is 20 or 25. Wow. Eccles Looper almost stepped out of bounds, and he's off to the races now with a 30, still on his feet, 35. Finally dropped down at about the 36-yard line, so a nice return.
Daniel Jackson going ahead and bringing him in, tiptoeing along the sideline.
So Cameron Eccles Looper.
Yeah, usually right now your special teams coach is telling you, you know what? Make sure you don't go out of bounds. That's a great job right there, keeping his body in the field of play and going ahead and having a nice big return.
You know, Brett, you hear so many offensive coordinators talk about explosive plays, 20 yards or more. Take a look at White's last numbers, 8 of 9, 56 in that scoring strike. Coming into the ball game, Western Kentucky had 47 of those explosive plays, 44 for FIU, and that last touchdown went 42. Here comes Furby. Furby leans forward, gets up close to the 39.
Yeah, you think this year was a good year. As a junior last year, he led the country in passing completions of 30 yards or more. He did 44 of those, and then he had 24 40-yard bombs. So it's just been one year after the other of Mike White just dominating Conference USA.
Interesting stat coming up right after this play. Mike White near side, it's Fant. Fant at the 46. Fumble the ball, it's loose. FIU's got it. Looked like Newton Salisbury has the ball. No, check that, it's not Salisbury. Kevin Oliver, Butch Davis's very first recruit, comes up with a big fumble recovery.
That's a great play right there. Great hands, way to get that ball out. Anthony Wint knocking the ball loose on the offensive player. There was a nice little battle going on along FIU's sideline right there. Andrew Brown was going against Lane of Western Kentucky, and Andrew Brown just ended up driving Lane out of bounds into the Florida bench.
Well, we'll hold off on that.
Animated.
Going to hold off on that Mike White stat that I promised after the play, but now good chance for McGough to capitalize on the turnover. That's exactly what he's going to try to do. And he overshoots his man. Right down the middle, the intended receiver there, Austin Maloney, who had a big first half for these Panthers.
Kai Abshir at right tackle right now needs to set back a little bit and get on the same level as his right guard in order to pass off these games that they keep doing up front. They're doing a little tackle end game where the defensive tackle is creating penetration between the guard and the right tackle, and then that end Overstreet is looping back in. He is going to get a free shot on McGough. They keep letting him do that.
So it's 2nd and 10 with the ball resting on the 38-yard line. They're bouncing to the outside. Plenty of running room inside the 30-yard line. This time it's Napoleon or Shundarius Phillips, excuse me. So Maxwell and Phillips keep trading off in the backfield.
You can see a lot of pulling action right now. That's a counter play. We used to run that back in the day at Miami, pulling your backside guard and your backside tackle. Seeing big Shaquille Williams going ahead and running around the outside, trying to create some room for his running back.
Another first down. Gardner's in the backfield now. Play action. This one's complete at the 15-yard line. The freshman Singleton wrestles his way down to the 12. So Thomas Owens' replacement with a big catch.
Right now, Alex McGough, especially coming off of a couple series ago where they ended up going ahead and swinging a pick six. Alex McGough has come out both drives right now and it's lighting this defense up.
Previous years, I've seen McGough play, and it's like he lacked confidence. He has plenty of that right now as the quarterback of FIU. Nice run inside the 5-yard line. Boy, running hard. Again, is number 22. It's going to be Shundarius Phillips, a young ball player, just a sophomore out of Delray Beach.
Delray about 45 minutes up the street. Between the Boca, the Delray, the West Palm Beach, the Miami, Florida kids, the Fort Lauderdale kids. Plenty of talent on this roster.
Phillips stays in the backfield, along with Maxwell this time. Now there's going to be a 1st and goal inside the 1-yard line, it looks like. A nice effort again by number 22. 5'11", 225, so he's got some size, runs hard.
I'm wondering if they're going to put Alex back up under center again. This close to the goal line. They're probably going to stack right over top of Alex's little brother at center right now. Shane, they're going to probably try to drive these offensive linemen directly into the backfield. Now he's in shotgun.
Gator in motion, the give and the touchdown.
They left the wide open middle right there. They didn't put anybody over top the middle of that offensive front. They just let him walk right into the end zone.
So Darius Phillips doing most of the work on that drive, so it's only right that he gets the touchdown, his 2nd of the night. And the Panthers capitalize on the big fumble recovery by Kevin Oliver.
That's a great job too by that center Shane McGough, handing off that game up front. They ended up having Masai White trying to blitz the A gap. Him and his right guard pass that off very well.
Borgalis remains perfect in 2017 in the PAT department. 4:21 to go. 26-17. FIU on top. Phillips with his 2nd touchdown run.
Welcome back to Miami, Florida. As you take a look at Phillips right there, the running back who ended up just scoring. It's 27-17 for FIU. You can see the 2 linebackers right now going ahead and making a little cross blitz in there. 25 Masai White is going to be the initial guy, and it's a beautiful handoff between the center and the right guard, taking care of both Iye Buniwe and Masai White, passing that mixture off on a nice little draw play, allowing him to run directly in the end zone untouched.
A couple of touchdowns right now in the 2nd half. 6 carries, 31 yards. He's up to 46 on the nights. So a big fumble recovery by Kevin Oliver. Butch Davis brought in 20 recruits. 11 of the 20 were defensive players. And Oliver, as I mentioned, it was his first signee. So So the Panthers opening up a 10-point lead, 27-17. Plenty of time left. But we saw that Marshall game. We saw Mike White really warm up, but they ran out of time. It too little, too late, losing that one 30-23. Because you know, number 14 is going to come out flinging the pigskin. You know that.
You better believe it.
Echoes Looper at the goal line. This time dropped up to 17. Nice play on the kick coverage team. That was number 41 coming up. That's
Fred Russ.
Fred Russ. Backup linebacker for Brent Guy.
I've noticed a couple quick plays right now tonight on this special teams. A couple guys getting untouched, busting through the line right here. That's just a missed block opportunity by Lucky Jackson. I don't think he wanted any part of big Fred Russ right there. Fred Russ's arm's about the size of Lucky Jackson's thigh. I know coming down on kickoff return in the NFL, I'd see a giant defensive end running down the field, Mach 3 speed. I really didn't want much of that either, so I don't blame you, Lucky.
Mike White wants to go right back to work, has Fant over the 35. And boy, that was put right on the money again. Kennedy in coverage for FIU.
And getting right back on the football, Mike, trying to take a little air out of this hot air balloon they got right now at Ricardo Silva Stadium. You can see Mike the whole time looking at one wide receiver. Usually you get Mike White looking at about 3 or 4 different wide receivers, looking off safeties, keeping people honest. But right there he had one target in mind, and that was Fant hitting him with a strike right up the middle.
Boy, he throws a nice ball, huh? Tight spiral.
Beautiful football.
Plenty of time to throw it as his big tight end inside FIU territory again. All right, let me get this stat in before something happens. You, at the top of the broadcast, you mentioned 37 touchdowns, 4,300 yards last year for Mike White. Listen to this. Because of injury or large leads, he sat out 12 quarters last year, or 3 full games.
Yeah, imagine if they added 3 games to that list. Those numbers would be astronomical.
White flush from the pocket this time, but he still fires, and penalty flag dropped. He completed the ball to his big tight end Yelder inside the 40-yard line, but again, a yellow hanky down at about the 49-yard line.
Yeah, I don't think Cole Spencer got away with that one right there. I don't think you understand what's going on. The minute that you see Cole Spencer hanging on the defensive end, Newton Salisbury, wondering what's going on, why is this yellow flag on the ground? And then putting the palms up like he didn't do anything. That's my favorite, when you get to see an offensive lineman walking back to the huddle with his palms up, acting like he did nothing wrong.
Spencer, a true freshman out of Louisville, making his 4th straight start. His aunt is a member of that Western Kentucky 92 Final Four team. So pushes it back now. It's a 1st and 20. Furby getting some running room. He spins his way up to the midfield stripe.
Yeah, they're only about a yard shy right now of getting back to the original line of scrimmage. Again, look for Mike White to go ahead and hit him with a little bit of an air attack. I know they're bringing in Jakari Moses right now, a little shifty running back. But for the most part, I'm looking at Mike White right now leading these guys back up the football field.
2.5 minutes to go, 3rd quarter's down by 10. 2nd and 12. Heavy pressure, still gets it out, and right through the hands of his intended receiver. That's Mike Dean, one of the top junior college tight ends coming out last year.
Yeah, it definitely just went right through his fingertips right there. You need to catch that football. Had the short arms. You either got to adjust your shoulder pads or stop worrying about that safety coming in. That needs to be a caught football right there. He could probably have about another 10 to 12 yards post catch on that one.
Big 3rd down play, 3rd and 12. Ball resting right at the midfield stripe. Here comes pressure. White gets it off, and this one's almost picked off. The intended receiver again is Yelder.
That one's going to hurt Mike White. Big Trayvon Williams, starting linebacker, 6 foot, 230-pound senior out of Miami Norland, came with a full head of steam through that line of scrimmage. You could see at best, Mike White, the wind got taken out of him. At best. Ooh. He had that exposed rib cage on the right-hand side after throwing that football. Hopefully he just got the wind knocked out of him.
got dinged up pretty hard late in the Vanderbilt game, and Mike Sanford said his toughness will bode well for him down the road when he's playing in the National Football League. So we'll see if. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it was the wind. It looks like certainly had a clean shot at him.
I think he's looking for a flag on the play personally. He's up and at him.
He'll be back.
Go sit out for a play.
So now it's 4th and 12. They'll probably punt it away because we still have a full quarter to go. But they're going to have to start leaning on their defense.
And again, Mike White is a tough individual. He's been peppered quite a bit throughout this season. 37 sacks that offensive line gave up coming into tonight. I believe they're at 38 right now. But Mike's been known to sit in there and go through all of his progressions, 1 through 4, and he's willing to go ahead and wait to hit that number 4 progression in order to take that hit. Big time leader on that program.
Speaking of that 4th progression, Mike Sanford said what really makes it special is we don't have the balance between the run-pass game as we want. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no! Ball is loose, and it's still loose. Unbelievable. Penalty flag dropped at the 36-yard line. Devontae Price scooped it up and took it in for 6.
I don't know what happened here.
I think he was going to fake it.
This is a kicker's nightmare right now. Stumbling, bumbling, trying to kick it, throw it, push it, blow on it, whatever you could do to get that football to go out of bounds or up the football field.
Now, do you think he was waiting for the coverage team to get downfield, or do you think he was going to fake it?
Honestly, the way it looked to me, he probably could have kept the football and ran with it.
38-yard return by Devontae Price for the touchdown.
You could see the cover unit already leave the line of scrimmage. The only one that was there, you could see, was Jordan Guest. That was the only one, the defensive end, that was in the protection. Everybody else already left, and they were going down to cover the punt.
Wow. Crazy turn of events, opening up a 33-17 lead now. With Jose Borregales back on the field for the PAT. Inside 2 minutes, 1:52 to go before we head for the final 15 minutes here in Miami.
Unfortunately for Western Kentucky's kicker, that highlight's probably going to make the top 20 or 15 plays of this weekend, but not for the right reasons.
Unbelievable turn of events. Borregales right down the middle of the freeway there with the extra point.
Well, it looks like senior day in the cage, which is what they refer to as Ricardo Silva Stadium, looks to be so far, with 1:52 in the third quarter, a nice send-off for some of these seniors for FIU.
You know, when Collins started to stumble, if he would have just held on to the ball, at least it would have gave FIU field position, but not a touchdown. Sometimes you just try to do too much.
Yeah, the worst part about that was he was holding on to the cone part of that football, the end of the football, as if he was about to punt it. It was only a matter of a time when you see him stumbling and bumbling.
Well, now the weight is on the shoulders of Mike White big time now. The last couple of possessions, they fumbled it. Kevin Oliver recovered. Magoo capitalized. But that one goes down as the definitely on the highlight reel for FIU in the offseason. One that Western Kentucky would want to forget. 34-17, just like that. So once again, Mike White, win or lose, is going to put up some big numbers in the passing department. Eccles Looper wisely takes a knee. They'll take it at the 25-yard line.
A funny stat for FIU. We talked about how fast they've been scoring, and even a lot of their offensive drives have been 2 minutes and 14 seconds, just under 3 minutes. They scored 9 times in under 2 minutes so far this year, and 19 times in under 3 minutes. So this is obviously a fast, quick attack style offense that Alex Magoo is a part of this year, 2017, for Conference USA.
earlier this year. They got off about 74 plays, 74 offensive snaps earlier against Charlotte. Mike White threw for 5, ran for 1, counted for 6 touchdowns, and they wound up with 627 yards in that ball game. So the last fumble return for a touchdown was Richard Leonard. You saw by that graphic.
Back in 2014.
At Charlotte game, they ran 92 offensive plays. Eccles Looper gets it up to the first down marker at the 35-yard line. It's going to be an interesting fourth quarter, depending on how many stops Western Kentucky can get in that fourth quarter.
Andrew Brown, after making that tackle, came up limping a little bit for FIU. Now he's singled coveraged up down at the bottom of your screen with Lucky Jackson. See if Lucky can take advantage of that.
White comes up firing, looking for Yelder, and it's incomplete. Well, that's one of the few passes here in the second half that White hasn't been right on the money.
If you thought their offense was an air raid offense before, being down 34-17, going into the fourth quarter, you better believe you're going to see something through the air.
2nd and 10 at the 35. He's going down. There's a sack, and it's going to be Sheriff. So James Sheriff, the junior out of Fort Lauderdale, gets his 2nd sack of the season.
Yeah, and if you were to negate the other big hit that he had tonight, he's having a pretty decent night. Now this is where the defensive coordinator for FIU, Brent Guy, can start dialing up some blitzes. When you have this big of a lead, you could bring the house in the fourth quarter.
Here comes the house right now. White has very little time. He's going to have to leave the pocket, fires downfield, has his man. Nice job coming back for the football as Eccles Looper inside FIU territory. They move the chains.
Eccles Looper has just been a sure thing for this Western Kentucky offense over the last few weeks. Very impressive individual. He had his breakout game against Marshall, the one we were covering a couple weeks back. He went 9 for 99 yards, and he's a grad transfer from Arkansas State. So just last year, he was in another uniform.
Empty backfield this time. White. Fance, boy, coming up strong is Emmanuel Lubin, cornerback for FIU. Just 9 seconds now. 8 seconds. Clock is running. That's going to be the final play of the third quarter. So it's all on the back of number 14, Mike White. 15 minutes to go. Who's going to own that fourth quarter? Mike Sanford in his first year trying to get that 7th victory, but right now we head for the fourth quarter. His Hilltoppers are down 34-17 here on senior night in Miami, Florida.
Welcome back to Miami, where FIU is leading 34-17. And in keeping up with the theme of Thanksgiving, we asked head coach Mike Sanford what he's been most thankful for in his first full season as head coach. And it may surprise you. He said he's most thankful for the adversity his team has faced both on and off the field, whether that be injuries, learning from a new coaching staff and a new system. Of course, a tough time for assistant coach Jeff Dart when he, had those 2 brain tumors. He's recovering from brain surgery. What he said, though, is we're a family, and you have to go through these tough times, but in those tough times you find growth and you become closer. He's really thankful for how his football family has stuck together through all of those trying times this season.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, they face some adversity right now, down 34-17, but that was pretty cool that he said that, because we've all faced adversity, and if you haven't in your lifetime, it's coming sooner or later. White. Boy, nice job of getting it down inside the 30-yard line. It's Quinn Jernigan. He's now 26 of 36, so he's at about 72%. He's over 300 again, Brett. That's 7 straight games over 300 yards.
Yeah, Mike just continues to light things up. His offensive line are doing a decent job too. They got a lot of games going on up front. A lot of tackle end mixes, a lot of TT, ETs. In layman's terms, that's tackle end tackle.
Okay, thank you.
Who goes first? Who goes second?
White's a little bit too strong that time. Great effort by Eccles Looper. Good coverage that time by Andrew Brown. He was going step for step. with the Western Kentucky wideouts. So Western Kentucky now has 10 former players, either active rosters, injured reserve, or practice squad of the National Football League. And I thought for sure Anthony Wales, the running back last year, would be on someone's roster. But how high in the draft do you think Mike White's going to go?
I think Mike White is going to be probably in the top 3 rounds, to tell you the truth. He's a big quarterback. He's intelligent. He's strong. I know the days of the pocket passer are few and far between, but when you're as accurate as he is, it gives you another chance.
That goes Looper inside the 25 down to about the 22-yard line. Brent Guy brought that up. He said he's going to stand back in the pocket, kind of like old school. Most quarterbacks want to run now. He said, but he's going to find his second and third reads. And then Mike Sanford took it further. He said, like you said, he's going to find his fourth read. Sanford said sometimes he'll find the fourth read that the head coach didn't expect would get the ball. Here comes more pressure. Gets it off. The big tight end inside the 15-yard line. Dragged down by Brad Muhammad.
Yeah, they're trying to get another luck what they had with Trayvon Williams when he knocked Mike White out for a few minutes. They're going ahead and bring him again up the A-gap. He was picked up nicely by the running back there. Nice stop by the running back, picking up that blitz. Yeah, you talked about Mike White and the way that he goes through his progressions and his style of football and mimicking quite a bit Brandon Doughty, and reason being is because those two ended up having the same off-season quarterback coach down here in South Florida.
Incomplete, just off the outstretched hands of Yelder again. So Dion Yelder, one time the national tight end of the week, came in with 43 catches, and Mike White and company now facing a 2nd and 10 at the 13-yard line. On the year, about 76% in the red zone. That drops down to 63% on touchdowns, 29 of 46. And boy, some aggressive play on the defensive front, if that's Sheriff again, unless there was movement by Western Kentucky.
Yeah, there was movement. They ended up getting Cole Spencer. Right tackle Cole Spencer ended up getting a little fidgety in there, and Sheriff went ahead and made him pay for it.
Yep, good call. Sheriff didn't waste any time. He saw that movement.
I'm wondering if it was one of those, I moved a little bit, let me go ahead and try to point out the defensive end who I'm supposed to be blocking to try to cover myself from actually moving a little bit.
I don't think he pulled it off.
Nope.
2nd and 15. Oh! Right through the hands of Jernigan. Boy, that was a rocket. Obviously a catchable ball, but
again, they're running the basic game off your right-hand side by that defensive front, having that defensive tackle go first to try to occupy the guard and bring him over to that right tackle. Well, they loop the defensive end around. But Mike White is getting rid of this football a lot quicker than that defensive end can show up.
Big 3rd down play now, Brett. 3rd and 15. This is the 12th straight pass play. They're going up for the end zone, and it's going to be incomplete. Intended receiver was Xavier Lane, the redshirt freshman out of Montgomery, Alabama. And so it's 4th down. Do you go for it here, or do you take some points?
No, you have to go for it, but they're not going to. They figure that there's enough time on the clock, and Mike has the ability to climb the football field very quickly. So Coach Sand is going to go ahead and get him going here with a nice little 3-point chip shot.
It's going to be a 35-yarder. Last time I said it was a chip shot. They missed it from 33.
Good point.
But they can't miss it now. Mike Sanford needs all the points they can get, and Clayton White's defense is going to have to get that football back. He missed it. So Ryan Nuss has his 2nd miss, and they just turn it over. So with 12:52 to go, Panthers on senior day get the football back, and they have the lead 34-17. And back in Miami, FIU 21 points in the 3rd quarter in just 6 minutes and 29 seconds.
Yeah, the one thing that I continually notice right now is ultimately the lack of the running game. It's making Western Kentucky, and I know I'm probably beating a dead horse here, but when you're this one-dimensional as an offense, it's hard. It's definitely hard to go ahead and create havoc on that football field for the opposing defensive coordinators. And right now, Coach Guy is just having a field day. I'm just bringing everything he could possibly bring in order to go ahead and disrupt Mike White. Last year, you had a running back, Anthony Wales, who got 111 yards in this game last year. So right now, you're looking at the rush yards of being 18 for Western Kentucky. You also had Forrest Lamp at your left tackle and helping. You had a couple guys on the offensive line as well that were kind of creating some holes for your running back.
Well, now it's up to the Hilltopper defense to get that football back. It's up to FIU to eat some clock right now. They keep it on the ground. They pick up maybe 2 on that play. It's number 22 against Shandarius Phillips. He's been carrying most of the load here in the second half. At the top of the show, Michelle talked about the 485 yards that Mike White had last week in the 5 touchdowns. Just on explosive plays alone, 20 yards or more, he had 237 yards on explosive plays on just 4 plays, 4 of 6. Otherwise, those 4 completions averaged about 59 yards. So there's plenty of time if they can get the football back. That's the big question as these running backs continue to run hard.
It's like the same question we were asking last week. If Army, Army is not going to throw the football.
Right.
How do you not stop a team who is running? It's one of those things where it's the will versus want again, as these guys look like they just got stopped trying to get to that 4th down marker. They got another shot.
Some of the players want a measurement. They want to go for it right now. On 4th down, it's 4th and less than a yard, probably half a yard. And they're going to take him off the field. Butch says, let's punt it away.
Yeah, there's a reason why Coach Sanford went for it for a 3-point field goal, because he knows his quarterback can come up and down this football field and get some points for you fast and often. So Butch is doing the right thing by electing to punt right here.
Stone Wilson had 1 punt in the first half. It went for 52 yards, and they're going to call a timeout.
The way that they just lined up in that formation looked a little bit odd to me. If you looked at the bottom of your screen, the whole right side of that line was turned sideways. I wonder if they're getting a little bit of a fake going.
11:04 to go. 34-17. 4th down, we come back. 34-17, 4th down. Panthers on to punt it. 3rd punt of the evening for Wilson. Macarius Fant back at the 30-yard line, so Mike White will get the football back with about 11 minutes, just under 11 minutes. There's 11:04 to go right now. You talk about the 18 yards rushing for Western Kentucky, so in other words, Mike White's going to have another 400-plus game when all is said and done here in Miami. Nice punts. Fant back at the 20, inside the 20-yard line, calls for the fair catch. So a nice job by Stone Wilson. Gets off a 53-yarder, so he's had a 52 and a 53-yarder tonight.
Looks like he's cranking that average up from 39. He's going to get over 40 after tonight.
Record-setting season. Here's some of the teams in Conference USA bowl eligible. Marshall was the first to get there. Mentioned 8 teams by the end of the weekend. There's going to be 9 teams bowl eligible. Middle Tennessee and Old Dominion play. The winner of that game becomes bowl eligible. And if Louisiana Tech can knock off UTSA, they'll become bowl eligible, which will be 10 teams from Conference USA bowl eligible. And if Louisiana Tech doesn't make it, there'll be 9, and that 9 is a record for Conference USA. They have 6 bowl partners, 1 secondary partner, and the front office or the Conference USA office will be working diligently behind the scenes trying to get as many teams to a bowl as possible. White finds Eccles Looper again. Nice job of holding on to the football. Well, you're right. Eccles Looper has good hands. He doesn't drop much.
No, he had 2013, 2014. He actually ran track at TCU, so he never really knew how good his catching ability was. But then going to Arkansas State and playing his career out there, and then graduating and giving himself another year of eligibility and heading on over here to Western Kentucky. Again, having that great game against Marshall a couple weeks back.
Picked up 5, so it's 2nd and 5. White looks, fires, has his man wide open on the near side up to the 40-yard line. That's going to be Jakari Moses, another true freshman, and one of 12 Hilltoppers from the Sunshine State.
This is one of the plays where we talked about Mike going through all of his progressions. You can see him scanning the football field, and then at the very end going to his fourth outlet, which is going to be his running back out of the backfield along the sideline.
Muhammad getting up very slowly for the Panthers. He's been really active this year, and he's been very active tonight.
I imagine that's probably why he's coming off the football field right now, is because of the hydration issue. He's probably cramping up a little bit. Going to get him over, get him a little Gatorade, a little water. Again, just rushing your regular 4 right now. Coming off the top side. They're going to be bringing a blitz.
This one's incomplete. Brown in coverage that time. Eccles Looper, the intended receiver. But time is not Western Kentucky's friend right now. They're inside 10 minutes, down 34-17.
And they're also asking middle linebacker Anthony Wynn with them double ankle tape job right now, going out of the backfield, covering that running back. My God, they ask a lot of these young fellas here. You see those coconuts that he had coming out of the bottom of his shoulder pads?
Oh, yeah.
Those were his shoulders. Holy smokes.
White. Echoes Looper. Lubin in coverage. So now the Hilltoppers facing a 3rd and 10.
Seeing an old familiar face down there on the sideline, the former strength coach at the University of Miami, Andrew Swayze, and a young man that I played with, Thomas Carroll, in the weight room over here at Florida International.
Huge 3rd down play now. Here comes some pressure. White steps up, fires, and boy, the tight end had it and dropped it. Boy, Yelder, one of the top tight ends in Conference USA, has had a couple of drops. Kennedy in coverage. Here's another 4th down now with 9:33 to go.
Yeah, if you want your football team to come back at all whatsoever, you need Dion Yelder to go ahead and catch this football. You're not helping your team out at the end of this football game. You can see Mike White just relatively disgusted with that. Going ahead and looking to the sideline, shaking his head a bit.
Tough one here, 4th and 10 at the 38. Might as well say this could be the ball game right here. Ball is loose. His arm was going forward. Once again, I think it's Lubin that picks it up. No, Kennedy picked it up.
Kennedy envisioned himself already being in the NFL right there, picking the football up and running with it. Still in college, young man.
But they're going to turn it over on downs, and FIU right now with 9:26 to go. They're going to have it good field position. They're going to spot the ball at the 30-yard line. Panthers on senior night up 34-17. College football on BN Sports presented by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave.
Well, we talked a little bit about Western Kentucky's rushing ability. Earlier on, they had 18 yards. Now, due to the 3 sacks, you're looking at 17 rushes for 10 yards.
You know, this FIU defense under Brent Guy, think about it. They gave up 61 points to UCF in the opener. And then Charlotte came in here winless. And they ran all over these guys in the first half. And they made some halftime adjustments. And it was that game, Brent Guy said, that these kids really started to believe in themselves, really believed in that coaching staff. They feel that whatever adjustments they make, it'll work. I mean, they had that goal line stand in the victory over Rice. UTSA had 6 snaps inside the 3-yard line, couldn't score. So this defense has come a long, long way.
And I know that UCF game, they had 21 players see their first action against UCF. So, you know, maybe kids getting in there, getting in the game, learning a little bit about college football, getting that bad taste in their mouth. Maybe go ahead and create a little bit of a nice little future career in college football. You know, once you go in there and you get beat up that badly and go against a team like UCF, you come out a little bit hungrier.
You know, even that when they gave up 61, they said the secondary had some breakdowns, but they had 7 explosive plays in that game, so they knew eventually the offense would start getting going. But been impressed with that defense here tonight against Mike White. Boy, another tough run by Shundarius Phillips as they get down to the 25-yard line. 8.5 minutes to go now, so.
Gain of 7, 3rd and 4.
It's only 3rd and 4.
Take a look at my left guard right here, Jordan Bugwig on the pole. Boom. That's big Julian Lewis. They're saying he's 6'3", 300. I'm sure they're probably giving him the benefit of the doubt. He looks a little bit more like 320, 325. But that's a lot of man getting knocked to the ground right there. That's a great job by that left guard, Jordan Bugwig, pulling.
3rd and 4, they're not going to get it. So it's going to be 4th down, even if they miss the field goal or turn it over on downs. 7:54, 53. The clock is running. You wonder, with a 34-17 deficit, if Mike White can even bring them back. Now, normally you'd say 7:43 is a lot of time in a football game, but they're going to have some quick strike offense. They're going to bring on Borregales. It's going to be a 41-yard field goal, as long as 44. Well, I guess Borregales, there's Stone Wilson in the backfield now. Kind of a wildcat situation on 4th down, and he's going to throw the football. Wide open is McKeever, the tight end. The big guy puts it out looking for the pylon. Did he get in? The Panthers are saying touchdown.
I don't know if that was his foot that stepped out of bounds. But it looks like that long 6'4", 6'5" frame might have got that ball over the pylon.
How about 6'6"?
Add another inch.
6'6",
You can see him
248.
skating out of the backside right there. All alone. Little stiff arm action. Stretching across that pylon. I'd like to take a look right now to see if he steps out of bounds or not.
Ooh, well, he got the 1st down, and it's going to be 1st and goal for the Panthers with 7:08 to go.
I don't know, when he planted
wow.
that left foot started in bounds.
They're going to take another look at it. They're going to go upstairs, I think.
They're going to have to go upstairs.
They're first. 30 seconds.
What a great play, extra effort, stretching across the goal line. If they keep him in bounds right there, that's a highlight reel for you. Mr. McKever.
You know, when he reached across the pylon, I'm surprised they're not taking a look at that one upstairs.
The ruling on the field was the player was short and out of bounds at the 2-yard line. The play is under review.
Here we go. So it's going to be up to Steve Barth now to decide if it's a touchdown or not.
I also got an explanation earlier on in the evening about that challenge that they overturned the completion in the middle of the football field. Watch McKever's left foot when it gets planted in the foot on the ground right here. Planted in the air, ball's extended across the pylon. That's got to be 6.
Okay, looking for
Again, it says left foot, left foot.
Yeah,
he's in bounds, and the ball is going to cross the plane of the pylon inside.
That's going to be it. What? His hand? Did his hand touch?
I think the ball might have crossed before that hand came to the ground.
Chris Jones, can we have one more look at that one? Watch his hand. Not the one with the football, but watch his hand. His feet are high in the air. Watch his hand. Right. Does the hand touch?
Ball's across the line.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Before the hand touches the ground.
Good call.
I want to see if I get this one right.
So many times we think we have it right and we get it wrong, huh? Or not necessarily. Maybe they get it wrong upstairs.
You know what? I sure hope they give it to that young man. That's some unbelievable effort, and especially on a fake punt formation.
You know, as soon as Stone Wilson got the football, you could tell he wanted to throw it. He put it in his right hand, and I'm surprised that McKeever was as open. You think you would have saw a 6'6", 248-pound tight end to release from the line of scrimmage.
They're showing it on the big screen here.
After review, the ruling is changed to a touchdown.
What a play. That's one for the personal highlight reel right there.
Farrell McKeever gets his 3rd touchdown to fill in for Jono Smith.
For the timeout. FIU will not be charged for a timeout.
Jonnu Smith now in the National Football League, the former FIU tight end, one of the top tight ends in this conference in a while. And this FIU offense averaging under 23 points a game. They put 40 on the board now with 7 minutes to go as Borgalos looks for number 41. Did not see this final score coming. So Borgalos still perfect in 2017 with 7 minutes and 1 second to go on senior night before they put this one in the record books.
One of those seniors tonight contributing. Pharaoh McKeever, the tight end, on a busted fake punt formation, skates out the back door and has an unbelievable extra effort stretch across the goal line play that ends up getting overturned on the original call. Great play by that young tight end.
Mentioned at NC State, he played defensive end, wide receiver, tight end for the Wolfpack, and Butch Davis told him, "You come here, we'll stick you at tight end." And we need a tight end with Jonnu Smith moving on to the NFL, and with Thomas Owens out, McKeever's actually the leading receiver on this football team right now.
Again, take a peek at the formation, how it starts off as a normal field goal. Then all of a sudden the holder stands up. The holder is your punter. You got the defensive end going across in motion. Everybody thought it was going to the right as McKeever sneaks out the back door, stiff arms the defender, and with that extra effort and that long arm stretching across that goal line, getting that ball over the pylon.
We've seen Wilson with a 53 and a 52-yard punt. Nice spin on the ball, too. Nice pass that time by Wilson. Boy, there's the story of that second half, though, huh?
Yeah, we were talking about mistake-free football coming out of that halftime, and I wouldn't have thought Western Kentucky would be the one giving over the 3 turnovers in the second half.
Well, here come the Hilltoppers again now with 7 minutes and 1 second to go. Boy, 3 turnovers. How about the total yards, huh? Talk about balance right there.
Oh my goodness, 365 yards and 365 yards. So talk about a quick hitting explosive program and capitalizing off of those 3 turnovers in the second half. They got 21 points off of those turnovers.
FIU defense coming in, they were -5. They came in with just 6 picks. Of course, they had a pick 6 wiped off the board earlier. 6 picks, 5 fumble recoveries, but 3 huge turnovers now. The difference in this ball game, 41-17, 7 minutes to go. Mike White back at the controls. Furby with the carry. Big question right now is Mike White. If they lose this game, they'll be 6-6. Will that be enough to get them in a bowl game with the 10 bowl-eligible teams or 9 bowl-eligible teams in Conference USA? So will this be his final college game? Stop the clock again. And here's the explanation from Stephen LaMantia.
Reset the clock to 6:52, 6:52. The clock will start on my ready.
Playing that prevent defense right now. You got the linebackers about 6 yards off the line of scrimmage. Both Williams and Wint.
Prevent defense back-to-back running plays as Furby gets up close to the 35-yard line and a first down, but clock inside 6.5 minutes now.
Yeah, it's just Coach Sanford going ahead and giving Mike White the go-ahead to take what they're giving him right now, and that's obviously a lot of room in that box.
Furby again. That's going to move the chains. Third down play moves it up to about the 39-yard line.
You got a couple options when you go to the 6-man box where you only got 2 linebackers and 4 defensive linemen. You could do the draw. You could do the quarterback keeper. You could do a little power move where you're pulling the guard and having him going up on that front side linebacker. You don't have too many options.
Here's another run. Moses puts his shoulder down just shy of the 50-yard line. So Mike White's keeping the ball on the ground. He had 54 attempts last week. He's up to 47 right now.
You can see Moses starting off to the right-hand side and having Mike White go ahead and shuffle over and meet him and give him the handoff to come out the back door.
Picked up 9 on the play, 2nd and 1. White's going to go upstairs. Going to go for Eccles Looper. Beautiful effort. He's going to be out of bounds. It's going to be incomplete. So before that attempt, White was 30 of 47 for 355 and a couple of touchdowns.
You can see Eccles Looper right now. He's pouring his heart out on this football field right now. I don't know if you noticed, but you could see that tensor bandage that he had wrapped around his waist once that uniform kind of separated itself. He's got a jersey up a little bit higher and his pants are a little lower, but he's got a tensor bandage wrap. Probably got a little bit of a groin issue right now with Eccles Looper as he limps off to the side.
Well, you'd never know it the way he's played. Great effort by Eccles Looper. Furby moves the chains again. Another first down inside FIU territory, but inside 5.5 minutes, so 5:25 and counting now.
Yeah, Eccles Looper's over there on the sideline. He couldn't even make it back to the bench. He just wanted to go to the sideline and take a knee.
Furby again slides through down to the 40-yard line. You know, Rich Skrotsky said something to the offensive coordinator for FIU, said, you know, obviously Thomas Owens was leading the league, as you pointed out. You hate to lose to Thomas Owens. He said if there's any silver lining, maybe it'll be more balance in the passing attack. And I thought Magoo did a great job of spreading the wealth around with his receivers tonight.
Yeah, he doesn't look like a quarterback that lost his #1 wide receiver tonight, that's for sure.
Fant just over his outstretched hands. So White that close to his 3rd touchdown. But it goes down as a long incompleted pass.
You can see Mike has got all the time in the world right now to shuffle over to the right-hand side. Hit Fant again on that post route that he loves running so much up the center of the football field. But you can see the frustration right now in Mike White's face. He keeps shaking his head as he's looking over at the sideline.
Two downs to pick up 4 yards. White, bam, goes down.
Anthony Johnson on him one more time. As he rubs his belly, he says he's eating tonight.
Boy, he and Sheriff both have played well at the defensive tackle position.
Yeah, Johnson ended up adding another sack to his total tonight, so that's 2 for him tonight.
So that's going to give him 4.5, which will tie Furman Silva for the team lead at 4.5 sacks.
And it's just basic rushing forward, too.
White feeling more pressure, and he's going down again.
Again, that's Johnson's going to get a 1/2 sack on that one. And then Furman Silva's going to add a little bit to his tally as well.
That's 5 sacks now for the Panthers tonight.
They're just making basic pass rush moves. They're not doing any games up front. They're ultimately just going one-on-one, saying, my guy's going to beat your guy.
So at 3 minutes and 44 seconds, that was pretty much game, set, match right there. 5 sacks, 20 on the year now for FIU. And they'll be back on the field next week. This will be their 7th victory. They can go for number 8 against UMass. So the last 5 games, 11 sacks and 10 forced turnovers. So Brent Guy should be able to sleep pretty well tonight. His defense certainly getting the job done.
I thought they were handling FIU's defensive front for the most part pretty well in the first half of this program, but you know, after getting the MVP of last week, Coach was talking about his offensive line performance last week against Middle 10 and taking his hat off to them, being able to handle a lot of the games and gimmicks and different fronts and the complex looks that they were giving them.
You talk about an offensive, balanced offensive attack. It's going to be interesting to see the number of passes versus the number of runs that Rich Skrotsky, the offensive coordinator for FIU, ran tonight. So 27 passes, 32 runs, I'm told. So been mixing it up well. Shindarius Phillips has really been running hard. That's Phillips again with the carry. He's got a couple of touchdowns tonight.
Nice tackle, just finding his way outside. Drell Green ended up showing up, filling into that wide C gap. That's located on the very outside skirts of the right tackle. But again, they got a lot of recruits in the building tonight, both FIU and Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky loves coming to South Florida and trying to find themselves some good football players. Obviously, their quarterback, Mike White, is out of Pembroke Pines, which is just up the road. They got their old quarterback, Brandon Dowdy, out of Broward County as well. So apparently they got about 7 or 8 guys that are coming into this class this year from South Florida.
Yeah, when Butch Davis said 450 kids from Florida got Division I scholarships, that really that's a lot. That's a big number. So the Panthers just eating some clock now inside 2 minutes. A minute 58, 41-17. 3 huge turnovers in the second half, the difference of this ball game. 3 turnovers in a 4th down fake where the big tight end, Pharaoh McKeever.
Yeah, ever since the pick 6, that's ultimately where FIU could have possibly shut that down. That could have been the turning point for them in a negative light. I know some programs in the history, some head coaches in the history of this program, it could have been one of those detrimental factors in a game where the guys lose their initiative to get out there and play competitive football. And that pick 6 turnaround where you had Mike White come back out and end up getting 6 points with that swing, but then all of a sudden just continue to play football. Alex McGough told the defense, don't worry about it, guys, we'll take care of it on the offensive side of the football, and just coming on out, back to back to back scoring, unanswered points. And that's just a sign of a mature football program, a mature football player, and a senior quarterback that's getting sent off tonight with a great senior day here in the cage.
Yeah, McGough, earlier in the broadcast we mentioned the fact that McGough, Gardner, and Owens said they had a dream to be 3 of the best to ever play here, but they'd never won, really. Well, they're winning now. This is going to be their 7th victory. And again, with at least nine bowl teams, or bowl eligible teams, I should say, in Conference USA, this should lock up or at least secure a bowl berth for the Panthers. This one's going to hit the end zone, so they're going to bring it out. But Mike White and company, if Mike White even comes out on the field, they only have a minute 14 to work with. Actually looked like Drew Eccles, the redshirt junior from Daytona, Florida, was getting ready to come on the field, so we might see him. So FIU outscoring Western Kentucky 28-7 in the second half with 4 sacks, 3 turnovers. Here comes Drew Eccles. On the air.
He saw a little bit of action against Charlotte, went 7 for 8 in the 4th quarter. He took advantage of an opportunity when he was presented in the 4th quarter of that game.
He's only thrown 11 passes, but he's completed 8 of those. So a healthy 72.7%. He closed out the Vanderbilt game as well. So Magoo's number is 227 and a touchdown. 17 of 26, so he's had the hot hand coming down the stretch for the Panthers.
Yeah, not exactly the big numbers of Mike White, but just efficient play. And again, the fact that he just continues to find ways to keep plays going, that's the maturity level that I'm sure the coaches here are really excited about, was the fact that he knows when to throw the football away and when to live to fight another day.
You know, you talk about Butch Davis being known as a great recruiter. How about, you mentioned you were recruited by him at Miami, went on to the NFL. How about the first-round picks that he's had at Miami? I mean, DJ Williams was one. He's sitting in our Miami studios right now. And, boy, the list, if you start naming them, you're going to leave a bunch off. I mean, Ray Lewis, Kellen Winslow, Bubba Franks, Edgerrin James, Santana Moss, Dan Morgan, Bryant McKinney, Help me out here. I'm running out.
No, there's plenty. There's plenty of players.
Those are all first-round picks.
And we just did a little symposium with OutTheHuddle.com. Me, DJ Williams, and Ed Reed, Jonathan Vilma, and Ed Reed was talking about everybody on that roster had an opportunity to play in the NFL. Out of the starting 22 players, every single one of us had an opportunity in the NFL.
41-17 is the final score. So Butch Davis in year one as the head coach. Year one since leaving the sidelines back in 2010 with North Carolina. 7-4 right now, 5-3 in Conference USA. They step outside of the conference to take on UMass next week here in Miami, which could be their 8th victory, and of course they'll be off to a bowl game. So outside of the 3 turnovers in the second half, what really stands out for you with this Panther team here?
I just love the adversity and the fact that they overcame it. A lot of other teams, I'm telling you, when you have a pick-6 swing, you saw the excitement down here in the fans. You saw the excitement on the sideline of the fact that they just did something that they haven't done here in a while. That pick-6 is an emotional lift for both sides of the football. But then to turn around and have that thing come back because of a questionable call that they made on that quarterback, that's detrimental to your offense. And then the fact that they came back out, Mike White and Western Kentucky's offense came back out, 15 yards advanced up the football field and scored the following play. A lot of teams will go ahead and kind of pack it in and start pointing fingers and be a little upset with the call that they made, the way that the game was going. Then all the bad stuff starts getting highlighted. But no, man, they came right back out, dominated for 3 series post, and ended up getting a few more of their turnovers to go their way.
Got to give the Panthers credit for forcing the turnovers, but everything that could go wrong went wrong for Western Kentucky. First turnover, the fumble that Kevin Oliver recovered, was a completed ball by Mike White. And then, of course, the punter, Jake Collins, stumbling around in the backfield trying to get that punt off, and then when he fumbled it, and it was scooped up and taken in by Devontae Price for the touchdown.
That's one of those things where if you're falling asleep on the plane, your neighboring seat next to you is going to remind you of what happened tonight at the football game. So that's one of those things where that punter is going to be dreaming about that for the next 3 or 4 months of his career.
You know, we talked earlier about adversity. Everybody faces it. Well, that poor man, Jake Collins, he's not going to sleep tonight, I don't think. He's going to be reliving that play. So before we send it back to the Miami studios, your final comments on this game.
Hats off to Coach Davis. I know this has been 4 years in the making. They haven't beaten Western Kentucky in 4 years straight. And you hire a coach like Coach Davis, you bring in a few names, you resurge this offense and this program and the toughness on defense. That's what Butch Davis brings to the table, a lot of toughness. And again, you have the opportunity to beat a team that has beaten you 4 years in a row, sending your seniors off at their home place in a game like they did tonight. You can't ask for anything better.
We're going to take a timeout. On the other side, we're going to head down to the Miami studio with Jeremy St. Louis and his NFL alumni. 41-30, 41-17. They already put 30 on the scoreboard. I'm not sure what's going on with that scoreboard. 41-17, your final score. 7 wins now for FIU. We're going to send it down to the Miami studios after this break, but then we're going to come back here and get our thoughts on the Conference USA Championship coming up in Boca Raton.